Hi, I'm Elizabeth Noyce, and you're listening to Supergirl Radio.
I think the CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom, because
she looks like a boss in this coat.
Is Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Welcome to Supergirl Radio, your source for all things related to the CW Supergirl TV series and the character of Kara Zor-El. My name is Rebecca Johnson.
I'm Morgan Glennon.
And for this episode of the podcast, we are live and wired to discuss and review the Supergirl Season 6 episode titled Hope for Tomorrow. Lots of hope in Supergirl. Maybe not so much anymore, but
I saw
we'll
the
get to that.
title and I was like, Hope? Is she back? And no, she wasn't back. So
no, we're
thanks
just
for nothing, Supergirl writers. You know what could have helped this episode is if Hope suddenly showed up and was like, "It is me. I am the totem."
That would have improved this episode so much. Several letter grades probably from my grading. But I guess before we get to our discussion of the episode, we need to get to
the news.
Happy National Fossil Day. Morgan, did you know it was National Fossil Day?
My favorite day. I mark it on the calendar every year. I put together a dinosaur in celebration.
Well, it is National Fossil Day. And speaking of bones, our first news item is a
smooth, seamless transition, Rebecca.
Our first news item is a bit of a spoiler for Stargirl. So if you haven't caught up on Stargirl and you haven't watched season 2 episode 10, stop watching or listening to this for about 5 to 10 minutes. We might talk about this for a long time. I don't know.
Stop listening to this for 20 to 25 minutes.
but come back and then join us afterwards if you don't want to be spoiled. So that is your spoiler warning for this news item, because we got a lot of messages to the Supergirl Radio Twitter account and Facebook account about Stargirl this week. So I knew something was up. I had gotten caught up over the weekend on Stargirl. So I the new episode was the newest one I needed to watch. So I was going to watch it anyway. But when people started to send us messages, I was like, well, I guess I'll watch it sooner than I was gonna. So this is a spoiler for season 2, episode 10 of Stargirl. So in this week's episode, a Mr. Bones was mentioned and said to have an association with Helix, as he does in the comics before becoming director of the DEO. And
so he hasn't gotten his promotion yet. Is
no,
what I'm hearing.
He's not part of
climbing that corporate ladder.
No, he is not a director yet. He is in association on the Stargirl series with the Helix Institute for Youth Rehabilitation. We don't actually see Mr. Bones, but we do hear him on the phone with a character named Louise Love, head nurse of the Helix Institute for Youth Rehabilitation. And so we've talked about our beloved director Bones in the Supergirl Radio Rebirth episodes that we have done. Just as a reminder for people who have not listened to those episodes.
just a behind the scenes peek at Supergirl Radio, at Rebecca and I's friendship. I have a framed photo of Director Bones looking at the framed photo of Director Bones. So it's like Director Boneception. That is in my house.
She said she wanted that, so I got it for her.
I was so happy.
So we have talked about Director Bones Bones in our Supergirl Radio Rebirth episodes. I believe the most memorable ones were issue number 15 and 19. I've linked those in the video description. I'll put those in the audio podcast show notes. But for those who have not heard our discussions about Director Bones and his history, we'll go through it really quickly. So dc.fandom.com. In DC Comics, Helix was a group of 6 mutated children. And I'm going to change the overlay here so you can see. Helix was a group of 6 mutated children that were experimented on in the womb by the deranged Dr. Benjamin Love. On Stargirl, that head nurse, Louise Love, may have a connection to him or be in the place of Dr. Benjamin Love. We don't know yet. As each child was born, Dr. Benjamin Love spirited them away, telling their parents they were stillborn. This is very tragic and
that's
dark,
brutal.
for lack of a better term. And Dr. Benjamin Love raised these children in secret before disappearing, leaving them with no experience of the wider world and no moral sense. Calling themselves Helix, the now teenage kids, including Mr. Bones, characters Penny Dreadful, Critter, Baby Boom, Tal Jones, and Iraq Wind Walker embarked on a career as supervillains, repeatedly clashing with Infinity Inc., a superhero team composed. I love this team. Infinity Inc. is a superhero team composed mainly of the children of members of the Justice Society of America who applied for acceptance but were rejected. So I really hate it for Infinity Inc., but they made a little bit of a name for themselves.
Good for them. Good for them.
So that is the backstory of Director Bones, or Mr. Bones, and it's worth noting that Breck Basinger, who is Stargirl herself, tweeted out a picture, and the tweet read "Mr. Bones," and it had the classic Bones cigar smoke, with the gloves and the sharp tie with the stars. I mean,
looking great.
That is the classic
together,
Bones.
Director Bones.
That is the classic
Mr. Bones if
look.
you're nasty.
Looking good, Mr. Bones.
I have to say, so we talked about Director Bones and his history with the DEO. I didn't know this backstory about Helix, and I think
we talked about it a little bit on Supergirl Radio in some of those episodes, but it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. I don't know that we got into the rest of Helix, and I guess I have questions about the powers of, say, Penny Dreadful or Baby Boom. What's Baby Boom's power?
Let's see if we can go.
That feels like it could go in many dangerous directions.
All right, hang on. Let's look this up. So Baby Boom. Let's see what Baby Boom's care.
Yeah.
Oh, Morgan, you are gonna love Baby Boom. Let me see if I can share my screen. This is why this news section is gonna be 20 minutes.
Yes. I knew it. I wasn't lying.
Okay, so this is Baby Boom. Let me do a full.
No.
Can I do a full screen?
I reject Baby Boom now.
I don't know if you can see.
Baby Boom is what nightmares are made of. Baby Boom is like if Chucky was a girl. That's what's going on with Baby Boom. Baby Boom is like a small, pigtailed blonde child with a bow and big old lady glasses. Like they would wear on the Golden Girls, holding a swirly lollipop, and I don't like anything about what's happening with Baby Boom.
Baby Boom's powers are the ability to explode things with her mind.
So she's a little baby that makes things go boom.
Baby Boom.
Baby Boom.
She does have a weakness. She needs to have a clear shot for her power to work. Otherwise, she will destroy any obstacle between her and her chosen topic. So who was the other character you were interested in?
Penny Dreadful. I want to know, does Penny Dreadful just tell people horror stories? It's like, sit down. I'm going to tell you about Dorian Gray. And they're like, Penny Dreadful, not again.
All right, let's see what Penny Dreadful's story is.
Well, Penny Dreadful's got a better outfit going on here. She's got the high boots and there's green and white and yellow. Kind of normal hair. It's such an upgrade from Baby Boom, who is legitimately terrifying.
So Penny Dreadful, her powers are energy absorption, electroblast. She must absorb energy to fire powerful electric beams.
Interesting.
I don't know why her name is Penny Dreadful though.
It's nothing about Penny Dreadful like stories. She doesn't shoot pennies. She doesn't look that dreadful. I have to say, if it's a head-to-head between Penny Dreadful and Baby Boom, I'm going with Baby Boom because her name tells me a lot about what she is.
No,
she's
I agree.
a little baby. She makes things go boom, and she's scary. Yeah. I don't want to meet Baby Boom down a dark alley. Penny Dreadful, I would just be like, oh, hey, weird outfit. But Baby Boom, I'd be like, oh my God, unholy. I'm sorry to derail us this way.
No. Maybe we should do an episode on the Helix, the Helix crew. We can maybe justify
I want to know
that
so much more.
If Mr. Bones shows up on Stargirl, we'll do an episode about Mr. Bones and his history with the Helix crew. I think we can justify that, even though I'm so mad. We said
how is it fair that they get Director Bones?
We said this was going to happen a long time ago. We thought maybe it would be Batwoman because Batwoman has a connection
Batwoman, yeah,
to Bones as well. But
we knew somebody else was going to take him because he's amazing.
He's such a great character. Why he hasn't been used yet is just a mystery. But it's such a shame because Supergirl had 5 seasons, five whole seasons of the DEO. You know who is the DEO in the comics? Director Bones.
Director Bones.
He's the director of the DEO.
You know, I'm kind of mad on Director Bones' behalf too, because now he's got to climb that corporate ladder. If he had shown up on Supergirl, he would have just been the director. He would have just been director. But I mean, I guess he could have also. They could have given him a story arc where it's like he's just in the back. Could you imagine how good it would be if he was just in the background?
I think we're thinking
of like
the
a lot of
thing.
scenes, like for maybe like a whole season. We just see a skeleton man in the background. No one explains why he's there. And then slowly he starts like working his way up and like really impressing people at the DEO. And then before you know it, like him and Alex are butting heads. Like there could have been a whole character journey for Director Bones.
Yeah, he could have started out as like a DEO agent and then just worked his way up the ladder. God, that would have been so good.
Could you imagine how satisfying it would have been? And then when he finally gets to his office, like when he's finally like stepped on and clawed his way to the top, like he takes out that picture, that framed picture of a picture of himself, and he puts it on the wall and he goes, yeah. lights up his cigar, just takes a deep breath, all the smoke comes out because he's Bones. That's would have been amazing. Supergirl writers, what are you thinking?
It's one of the, I mean, Supergirl has had many missed opportunities in the 6th season run, but this one was such a big one. Stargirl is actually really fairly faithful to the comic book mythology of DC Comics, and it seems to have a lot of fun with the comic book characters and introducing them and actually like cares about things like the Justice Society and the Earth 2 aspect and all of that. And so it's I'm at least glad that Mr. Bones will be possibly, let's cross all of our fingers and toes, that he will actually show up and not just be a voice on the other end of a phone call. So hopefully, come on, season 3,
come on, Bones budget.
Oh man, if anybody can do it, I think Stargirl can do it. So it gets my hopes up.
Only
it gets my hopes up that we might actually see Bones on one of these TV shows.
Well, now it just means that I have to catch up on all of Stargirl, just because there's a hint, there's a taste of Bones in there, and so I'm coming for you, Stargirl.
Stargirl's
on my
actually
list for a while.
It's actually pretty good. It has its cheesy moments, but I think it's actually a good show that has me very invested in the characters. Before this, I didn't care about Stargirl. Like, she was fine, but I didn't it was not a character I cared about, and I care about Courtney and her whole family and all of her friends. So they've done a good job investing me into that whole world. So I highly recommend it.
Nice. So for another bit of news, DC Fandom is coming. It's coming.
It's on its way.
It's on its way. It's DC's free global virtual fan event featuring live webcast and activities for 1 day only. I'm pitching it for them. Where DC will showcase their biggest movies, games, shows, comics, and more, and get up close and personal with the people behind the characters and the worlds we love, with exclusive reveals, behind the scenes look, looks, even more than one look, fan celebrations, and can't miss moments. You'll want to be sure you're watching on October 16th. That's this Saturday, to catch all the action. So the main event video will stream live on October 16th at 1 p.m. Eastern or 10 a.m. Pacific and run approximately 4 hours. But even before Saturday, there are already interactive things to do on the website, like creating your own DC avatar. So you can visit dcfandom.com to check that out.
Yeah, I took a stab at turning myself into Supergirl.
Nice.
So I did that. So you can do that
Fun.
with Kryptonians, speedsters, Amazonians or Amazons, Atlanteans. I tried to say Amazons and Atlanteans in the same thought. But you can turn yourself basically into anything, which is pretty fun. I also saw that Joker's Escape was going to be back. And I don't know if you remember that from last year,
I
Morgan.
do.
Where I tried to do the Joker's Escape, and it was not great.
It looked tough.
It was hard, and my cackles were just absolutely terrible.
So would I have to wait until Saturday to test that bad boy out, or can I like go on now?
I don't know.
Start cackling at it.
Joker's Escape might not be there now. I don't know. Let me see. Let me look at the website. I know there were some things, like there's a selfie station that's some sort of VR thing that I can't use because for some reason it doesn't work with my phone, but they do have the shop, I think, is already up and good to go. They also it looks like Joker's Escape is on there now, so that's good. You can also do you can get some downloads, a coloring book download. I may do a Patreon thing of me coloring a coloring book page. Might do that. So there's a couple of interactive things that are already there on the dcfandom.com website. But for the video live stream event, that is not happening until 1 p.m. Eastern on October 16th. Notably for Supergirl fans, there is going to be a big farewell to the Supergirl TV series with the entire cast. So that should be interesting to see how that goes down. I don't think we have a schedule for when these things are happening, which would be really nice.
Yeah, exactly. No, you just have to make yourself available for 4 hours on a Saturday. Just hoping it's going to pop up at some point.
Yeah, so it would be nice to be able to be prepared for some of this stuff. But,
like I could push stuff back if I knew, like, hey, Supergirl's going to be at 1:30. Oh, okay, cool. I'll hang out for that. But, like, just be available from 1 to 4.
Yeah.
What are they fixing my washing machine? Tell me when things are.
Yeah, well, DC Fandom had some website issues last year, so this does not really surprise me.
Like it could be an upgrade, actually, from last year's experience. So.
Yeah, maybe. Let's hope there's some better user-friendly options on the website. Claudia asks, will the fandom be replayed or available online later? The 16th is the one day I have an appointment all day. Last year, I think they released some things on the DC Comics YouTube channel, but I cannot guarantee you that. So I would watch it or plan for it as if it was this one-time thing. Because I would not count on some things being on the YouTube channel, because they released some things and then did not release other things. So I would try to prepare for that.
Yeah, and so if you're excited about DC Fandom, if you've marked your calendar, maybe you want to hang out with some people who are also watching the DC Fandom. You can hang out with DC TV podcasts on the day of DC Fandom and discuss what happened with the event. Join several members of the network as they covered DC Fandom 2020 live on Saturday, October 16th, starting at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on the DC TV podcast YouTube channel. So my question is, if you're watching DC Fandom, did you just have us up on the second screen?
I asked Andy about that. Yeah, I guess it's going to be kind of a simulcast thing. I told them I would not be available until after it was over because my priority is to make sure that I have participated in this so that I can cover for this experience. for the podcast. So
we thank you. We thank you, Rebecca. We thank you for your brave sacrifice.
So I will be inside the dome for most of that time. But if they are still live streaming after it's over, I might pop in and say hi. But definitely check it out on Saturday at 1:30, I think, p.m. Eastern of the DCTV Podcast YouTube channel if you want to hang out with all of those people. I'm not sure what the lineup is, but there will be some folks that you probably know from the DCTV Podcast Network. There.
Exciting. It's even more fun. It's like a mystery box. Show up and who's there?
Kind of like DC Fandom.
But exactly like DC Fandom. Woo. But I like it because it's like when you go to a convention and you bump into people and you're like, hey, it's you. It'll be like that in all the experiences in the DC fandom.
That happens to me all the time at Dragon Con. I recognize that person's face. At one point I knew their name. Hey man, how's it going? Yeah, so that'll be quite the experience. So I'm glad DC Fandom's happening again for a second time. I hope they continue to do this. All right, well, let's get to discussing Supergirl, the episode titled Hope for Tomorrow. Here is the official description. Quote, Supergirl continues to fight Nixley for the remaining totems, but after Nixley kidnaps William, Supergirl realizes she needs to take a more proactive stance to keep National City safe. Meanwhile, Alex faces the biggest challenge of her life, unquote. Okay, so let's talk about, I think, one of the more interesting parts of the episode for me personally was that we saw that Alex is a painter.
Yeah, Alex is a talented painter, a skill that she's kept deep inside. She, while she was getting her like PhD, but also rising up the ranks in the DEO, it was a very stressful time for her. She also had a drinking problem, all simultaneous. And she would go home and sometimes just to let off steam, she would paint fairies. That was kind of what she was best at. And so in this case, she's like, you know who we really miss, who all of us really miss, and we don't know where she is Magan. So I'm gonna the closest you're gonna get to Magan is I'm gonna paint her on your wall. None of us remember to like wonder where she is or ask about her or just like check in on her, but she's there on your wall. So don't worry, she's just fine. One presumes, can't know.
I was wondering because like I was trying to think of like how they could use that in the story. And what I would do is I would have like Magan stuck in the painting. Like having to come out of it. They did that on Doom Patrol and it was awesome. What
if you just heard from the corner, guys, it's me, help.
That's why we haven't seen her. She's stuck in the painting.
She's stuck in the painting.
They're not going to do that, but
poor fairy Magan.
That would be so cool. I don't mind it because I have some friends who are who have children who have decorated their rooms and things like that with painting and stuff. But for many seasons, we saw like an art easel in Kara's apartment.
Yeah,
we talked about Kara's artistic skills that were apparently off screen last week on this podcast.
We did. We manifested this to life in a weird way.
Why is it Alex painting it and not Kara?
What if we thought that it was Kara painting the whole time, but it was actually Alex would just come over to her house like at all kinds of weird times and she would just paint. That was kind of like their togetherness. And Kara's like, I beg you, don't just show up and paint. It's weird. And Alex is like, I'm sorry, when the inspiration strikes, I gotta go. That's my gift.
So maybe she just used Kara's apartment because she didn't want to get paint all over her furniture.
Exactly. Her apartment was nice, and Kara's apartment also nice, but
Kara can clean it up
it's
faster.
Fine.
Yeah,
she can clean it up. She's got those superpowers, and so Alex would just go over there to do a little bit of creativing, and then she would leave.
Yeah, I just
makes perfect sense. I don't know why we didn't consider that before. maybe because what? But I think, yeah, it was so funny to see her doing the painting. Didn't know she was into that, but good on her.
And she did a great job.
Great job.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting, given that we had always assumed that Kara was the one painting. Jean does say that the mural of Magan represents hopes and dreams with a guardian protector to keep all who enter safe, and that it was something similar to what Mirren or Marin, however you prefer, had painted something like that in Jean's daughter. Or daughters, I wasn't sure who he was referring to.
Who knows?
In one of the daughters or both daughters, room on Mars. So it did have a significance. My headcanon is that Magan is stuck in the painting, and that's why we haven't seen her. But maybe
the ghostly voice of Magan will just haunt Esme. It's gonna be like a Telltale Heart situation where she's like, there's a lady talking to me from the wall, and they're gonna be like, oh, little girl, it's okay, your powers are overwhelming. You're just like, no, for real. And Megan's like in the corner, no, for real. I've been here for months.
Yeah, so that would explain it. But yeah, so I just wanted to start off with that just because it was pretty glaring right off the top of the episode.
It did give me a good opportunity to scream, oh, there's Megan.
So on that note, what did you think about Alex and Kelly bringing little Esme home and trying to help her with her mimic powers?
I thought that storyline was really good. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought, it was good to see at the end of the last episode. I mean, we knew what was going to happen, but we didn't actually see them like take her home. So it was good to see that they had decided it sounds like they're doing like a foster to adopt situation. I don't know how the red tape would have worked for something like that, and neither does Supergirl, and that's okay. But yeah, I liked the storyline with all of them, and trying to kind of guide her through her powers. And I think Alex kind of went immediately into boss mode and was like, okay, well, you just really have to work on this until you get it. And Esme's a little girl and was like, I'm sleepy. And Alex is like, sleeping is for quitters. So I did appreciate the first episode that they have Esme home. Like, Alex isn't just a great mother right away and is kind of learning how to, oh no.
Oh, wow.
Bunsen, my God. Bunsen is back. He came home today and he's decided to visit. He's feeling a lot better.
Good.
It would be great if he didn't maybe tip anything over up here. We'll see. That'll be his challenge for tonight. And I'm going to try to be a good cat mom and not yell at him. But yeah, no, I think it was nice to see that she wasn't an instantly the world's greatest mom. And neither was Kelly, actually. It took Kelly a while to figure out that, maybe Esme was dealing with some abandonment issues and some rejection issues from her experiences. And I liked the usage of the baby truth seeker.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, sweet, love that guy. So excited to see him back.
He is kind of cute.
But I will say I was offended, and maybe I misunderstood, but they were like, we got you a pet. Here he is. And she was like, sweet. Love this guy. Love his whole vibe. And then later on, when they're back in her bedroom, I did not see him. What kind of pet do you he better be in another room in that house, is all I'm saying. They better not have told this poor little girl who they spent the entire day traumatizing, we got you a pet, and then they just left the pet behind. Oh, no. It's not one of those pets you keep. It's just like one of those pets that occasionally we use to teach you an important lesson. It's like, hey, let that baby truth seeker, let her take care of that baby truth seeker. Maybe give him some little baby truth seeker pellets or something. I don't know what he eats. Let him have a couple sons. I don't know.
They could put a little aquarium or something in her room. I don't know.
Little sunlight,
Yeah, I think that could work. Yeah,
I think he'd be great. Teach her responsibility.
I did like that scene. That was probably my favorite scene in the whole episode, just because it made a lot of sense that they were needing to convince little Esme, because she was sort of, because of her past experience, was questioning a lot of things and wasn't believing them. And so that gave her an opportunity to truly know how they felt and what they thought. So I thought that was actually one of the better executed bits of writing in the episode. So I liked that. The only thing I didn't like about the storyline with little Esme was the Supergirl part of it. I really liked Aunt Cara at the beginning. Loved Aunt Cara. Was so excited about her bringing all her little stuffed animals and blankets that Eliza got her. I was like, okay, that's good stuff. But when Supergirl's like, hey, mimic my powers, we're going to try super hearing first, because super hearing is always the easiest one to do. That I didn't
why
like
would
that.
she suggest the little girl fly?
Well, she mentions
The
heat
fun
vision.
one.
Well, flight is the fun one, but she mentions heat vision in such a cute way, where she's like, heat vision comes in handy with hot chocolate. Like, that would have been a better way to go about it. Kids
Yeah.
love hot chocolate. I mean, I'm a big kid that loves hot chocolate. Everyone loves hot chocolate. Go to the hot chocolate thing first with the heat vision. I can understand maybe not wanting to put a small child with powers of, heat vision right away. That maybe would be a little bit dangerous, but would it have been worse than the super hearing? I don't know, because you never know what somebody's going to pick up with super hearing. Some things that maybe she shouldn't hear, and some things that obviously scared her. And so I don't think that was the best way to go about that. And what really upset me about that was, this wasn't an episode where Supergirl was struggling to be able to give people hope. And I thought it would have been really nice if she gave this little girl who felt abandoned, who didn't have a home, the sense of being able to control herself, being around people who seemed to care about her, was able to conquer something to help her understand herself. And if Supergirl had gotten that win and felt like she gave that little girl hope, that would have been amazing. And instead, they chose to make Supergirl do something dumb because they needed that conflict for the story. And I did not like that. If we're 5 episodes from the end of this entire show, we're in the home stretch. The end of the show is coming. And they could not, in the second scene with this little girl, they could not, in the first scene with her as Supergirl, which was adorable. She knew Kara and Supergirl were the same person right away.
That was and I feel like upstairs, Lena was like, I just got angry for some reason. I don't understand why.
But I thought it was so great until the super hearing thing, where things went bad. And I wish we could see more of Supergirl at this point in the show, because I want to be cheering for Supergirl. I want her to have like all these great heroic moments that are like big, impactful things, especially emotionally. It's one thing if she like saves the world or whatever, but if she has an impact with another person and hits somebody emotionally, that's something that I would love to see out of Kara. And they took that moment and squandered it, and I did not like that at all. Just to provide that conflict for the Kelly Alex storyline with Esme, and it was one of the things. I had a lot of problems with Supergirl in this episode, and that was one of them. And I just did not care for the way they handled that. But the rest of the Esme stuff was adorable and cute, and I would watch a whole show about Esme, the little girl who can mimic powers and phase through walls like her grandpa Jean. I would watch that show.
Me too. I liked everybody getting like really hyped about Esme. Like John was like, oh my God, I love her. And Brainy was like, what does she want? Wasn't there like a whole thing about like, does she want a train or does she want a castle?
Yeah. A cat. And
yeah. I can't remember what the options were, but I like that Lena and Cara were like, obviously a train.
Yes.
Like, who are you?
The options were castle, theme park, or train.
Castle theme park or train? Yeah. And Cara and Lena were like, train, obviously. And then they were like, yeah, girl, high five. That was fun. Like everything around how excited everybody was for Esme to be there and to kind of join the super family. And I think all of Alex and Kelly's scenes with her when they're telling her, like, we're both superheroes, so you don't have to worry, and like we're gonna protect you. I thought all that stuff was really great, and even the super hearing scene, though it did go awry at the end, I like that she had her immediately like listen for Alex's heartbeat and like listen to Alex's. I thought that stuff was sweet, but I agree. Like I wish we had seen Supergirl be able to like actually connect with Esme and not have all of that go immediately awry. Like we get it in the other storylines, like she's struggling. She doesn't have to struggle in every storyline. It's getting a little bit tiring. Like Supergirl used to be good at things sometimes and then bad at other things sometimes. And now it feels like she's just constantly getting kind of kicked down, which is not as fun as they think it is to watch.
Yeah, just mix it up every now and then. Let her have a little win. And I do agree with you that the Alex heartbeat thing I did like, because I imagine in my headcanon that Kara has memorized Alex's heartbeat, that she listens for it all the time. That's something that I think would be really cool. And so the fact that she would be able to hear Alex's heartbeat, and then have little Esme listen for it, I thought that was really cool. That was a nice little connection there. So there were good parts and bad parts of that, but I think the Esme stuff, for the most part, for me was pretty much the best part of this episode. So I guess since we've talked about her a little bit, I don't know if we want to go hard so fast, because I just, to be honest, after I watched the episode, I was the maddest I have ever been at the show. The maddest I've ever been. I was really mad in season 1 Blood Bonds when Kara and Jean tricked Cat Grant out of knowing that Kara was Supergirl. I was pretty mad then. In season 4, I remember not liking one of those early episodes of the season. I was pretty mad then. But this episode made me throw my hands up. Like, I quit. That's
all
it.
All right, Rebecca.
This is it. So I'm so glad that we podcast. I'm glad we don't podcast right after the episode airs.
Sometimes you just need processing time.
I had to cool down. So I'm curious, before I get to my thoughts, so that I can cool down after I've fired myself up. Morgan, what did you think about Supergirl and the choices she made with the Hope Totem this week?
So there's just like a lot happening in this one. And I say that that sounds like it was like a exciting action-packed episode, and I don't want to give people that impression. There was one scene where I went, hold on, I'm sorry, my mind wandered. I have to rewind that and like watch 5 minutes. Like I was just thinking about the laundry I have to do, which is not really where I want my headspace to be this close to the finale of like the show I've been podcasting about for 6 years. But here we are. I don't know what was even going on with this one, is my question. So I have a question. So the scene that I had to rewind was that scene between, I think it was between Kara and Lena, where Lena, who is like really embracing her witchy ways, her hair's crimped now. She's like really just going into that witch vibe. The witch vibe is apparently like your hair is like not poker straight anymore. Now you got a little curl in it. The curl is nature, taking hold.
She's also looking up charms about complexion elixirs.
Sure.
I wasn't exactly sure what that had to do with anything, but
well, you know what? She may or may not be poor now, and what better way to make your money than with like YouTube makeup tutorials, but like with your witch powers? And I think she's gonna monetize that channel real fast. Is the thing.
Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt.
I just love that you paused that to see what spells she was looking at and that they made no sense. I like that. I like that as a whole vibe for her. Ooh. But so they're having this conversation about the situation between Casnia and the other country,
Corto Maltese.
And I love that one too. I love them equally. And she's like, well, why can't you just take all their nukes? Like, why can't you just take all the nukes in all the world and get rid of them? And Supergirl's like, well, I can't. Like, I have I've swore an oath not to. And I went,
Okay, all right, let me clarify.
okay,
She says, I am forbidden from interfering in human history. Morgan, do you know what that's from?
no.
It is from the Christopher Reeve, I think the first Superman movie, where he's told, I think by Jor-El, I haven't watched it in a while, but Jor-El tells him not to interfere in human history. That I don't think applies to Supergirl. I was trying to think, has anyone ever told her that? Is that anything that I know Superman fans are gonna like latch onto that and we're gonna recognize what that is. But has that ever been established in the show?
So
Supergirl?
So I have the memory of
told
Alex
her that?
after she got memory wiped. So it's Swiss cheese, basically. It's I'm microwaving staplers on a daily basis, but I'm pretty sure that nobody ever told her that, even once in this whole entire show. But she said it with the confidence of a writer who is like, I think we've established that. You haven't. And also, she interferes in human history
All the time.
arguably all the time. A couple episodes ago, not even that many episodes ago, she was going to a city council meeting to get a building rezoned. That is not, does that not count to her as human history?
Now, I have to be fair to Supergirl. I'll let her speak for herself, because Lena does, let's see, where do I have that in here? Lena says something like, Lena called her on that, and Supergirl justified it, saying that it was different because they were in pursuit of a villain and that it was temporary. Because Lena calls her on the whole fact of removing people's humanity, which is what I was screaming at the TV. I was like, oh, you don't interfere with human history. You just removed people's humanity last week. What was that about? And so Lena actually spoke my words for me. And Supergirl was like, well, I mean, it's okay though, even though I'm not supposed to, even though no one on the show has ever told me this. It was fine because I was fighting a super villain and it was like temporary. We fixed it. It was fine. So, I mean, that's I can do it then. It's fine.
JK on last week. Okay. I think we've all agreed last week was a mulligan for all of us. And we're just going to move forward, Lena. No one needs this from you, Lena. Just work on your makeup tutorial. Is kind of Kara's opinion. No, I was so deeply confused. I literally thought like, oh no, I've zoned out and I've missed something important. And I have to go back and rewatch that scene. I went back and I rewatched that scene. And I was like, that scene was the same. And I turned to Mike and I was like, do you remember when somebody told her she couldn't interfere with human history? And he was like, no. I was like, okay, so maybe it's not just me. But arguably every time she defeats a supervillain from taking over an entire city or something, that's interfering in human history. I feel like if they had been like, no, you know what? Honestly, I don't think it's a good idea to like mess around in international relations that don't have anything to do with me. Okay. But she was like, no, I took a solemn oath to never interfere in human history. And it was like, you did? You've time traveled a couple of times.
Time traveled.
Lady. You've literally time traveled.
Yes. Okay,
what do you think that is?
So I just want to.
Sorry, I'm coming in hot now too.
No. So I need to break this down, because like last week where Supergirl and Lena are like, we're definitely not going to do that thing, but then they still did it. It was kind of confusing. This week was like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and I was really struggling with it because so Supergirl initially says, I am forbidden from interfering in human history. And I hope I have my timeline correct here. Then Supergirl says, after she justifies it, like, oh, I was just pursuing a villain and it was temporary. Then she says, unilaterally, though, changing the world stage, getting involved at that level, that is not for me to do. People and nations should be self-determining. That's freedom. That's what we're fighting for. And so that would be the right answer, I think. but then she ends up doing that anyway. And then she also says someone, referring to Nixley, is interfering into human history who doesn't care about humanity or hope. And I will do whatever it takes to protect this planet, including disarming those countries, so that the people don't have to fear tomorrow or the next day or the next. So she contradicts herself from one scene to the next. And she has what frustrates me about this is it's not consistent in the writing. And it's also making Supergirl look wishy-washy on her morals. And she's not even like considering all of the implications. Okay, so you get rid of all the nuclear arms, which is a throwback to Superman 4: A Quest for Peace, because that's what Superman tries to do in that movie. Fine, whatever. But you go and do that. You don't think there's going to be consequences after that? You don't think people of the world are going to be like, excuse me, we did not invite you into our issues. You're interfering in human history. Please don't do that. So I don't follow the logic that getting rid of all nuclear arms is going to stop people from hating or wanting to kill each other. That's just how the world is. That's how humanity is. Unfortunately, there are always going to be people who are going to try to kill other people, who are going to hate other people. That's just the way humanity is. We're a fallen people, and it's going to happen whether you throw all the nuclear arms up into space or not.
So one could also argue that, like, people could just remake those nukes.
Yes!
So, like, I'm in favor. Listen, Kara, take all the nukes and toss those into the sun. Oh no, the sun's blown up. Don't do that. Take those nukes and toss them into something else, something that hasn't just killed the Hope Totem. Anyway, and get rid of them. Those nukes are gone. Okay, cool. But like, what is stopping them from just doing it again?
Also, we talked about climate change this week. I'm not a scientist, so I don't know. I'm just asking questions here. Is throwing stuff into the sun, is that helping anything?
I think she's got to stop throwing stuff into the sun, I think. The sun is not where you throw all your litter, Kara.
How does that not mess with climate change?
We need
that
it.
Seems like a big important thing. Why are you putting stuff in there? And Miss Fiction Fanatic makes a good point in the chat. Wasn't restoring the multiverse interfering in human history? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, of course it was. Of course it was. My issue is not that like they had Kara decide to get rid of some nukes. Like, okay, my problem is that like there will be no repercussions for that in the show, I assume. I doubt that there will be. Like, I doubt that there's going to be any kind of follow-up on like what that does or what that means for Supergirl. Are people mad at her? Are people excited about it? Like, I don't think that they're going to like dive deep into the repercussions of these actions. I just think that they wanted it to happen in this episode. And so like, and also, they didn't need to establish this moral boundary that she was living under that we've never heard of before, that she obviously breaks all the time, only to have her break it again. It's like, it to your point, Rebecca, it is exactly what happened in that last episode. And it's the reason why, like, I almost never rewatch just individual scenes of Supergirl. And I had to rewatch that scene last week and the scene this week because they didn't make any sense to me, and they're immediately contradicted like later on in the story, to the point where it's confusing to you why they would even bother setting this thing up and then not paying it off in any way. Like, what are they doing?
And what's even worse is that they have her vocalizing the right thing to do. Like, she's like, I shouldn't interfere. It's for the people to decide for themselves. That's the answer. That is the answer. And to the fact that like she had to pass the gauntlet by getting rid of the nuclear arms, like she couldn't pass it another way. That to me was just kind of silly. And the then also the rules of the totem changed.
Yeah.
So like the courage totem. So I just want to ask a question to help me clarify. So the courage totem, when we saw the courage totem, it gave people more courage to go out and do all these crazy it gave them courage to do all these things. Yeah. Then in this week's episode, the courage totem, which I think the effect happened because of Nixley's thing that Mitch gave her, that she affixed onto the cuff or her arm or whatever, it depleted courage.
Yeah. Yeah, of course it did. That makes perfect sense.
Why would it work in one way in one episode and then work the complete opposite way in the other episode?
Well, I also had another question.
You could fix that. Sorry to keep interrupting.
Oh, no,
Morgan, I'm
please,
sorry.
please. Yeah.
But you can fix that in the writing by saying that the world leaders were so courageous they were able to tell each other what they really thought.
Yes, just like those people yelling at each other in the museum about like, dude, I tell you to don't eat my lunch. My name is clearly labeled on the thing. Like, finally, they have the courage to be like, you know what? That was my project, and you took all the credit for it. And like, yeah, things gonna go down. Stuff's gonna get real. Yeah, exactly. Well, I was struggling with that too, because it seemed to me that like the obvious answer was that Supergirl go into that room with all the world leaders yelling at each other and give a hope speech and save the day. And I was like, well, why is nobody thinking about, they're like, okay, Supergirl's like, well, obviously I got to jet out of here. I can't deal with all these people and their negative vibes. So Jean, you take care of it. And I was like, what?
And
what?
I think you could have gone that way and still had her by her new rule of not interfering in human history. She could have given a speech, as she does, as per Super. Jean even says in this episode, that's kind of your brand. She could have given a hope speech without interfering. They would still have to make their own decisions about what to do, but they could have had the words spoken to them, giving them advice on things, and that would have fulfilled her little rule that she has, that she took from the Donnerverse, that was explained out of nowhere, and she could have passed the gauntlet that way. So I agree with you. I think that would have been the way to actually go about that. That was strange to me that they went straight to nuclear arms.
Yeah, speaking of the totem, so Trey Ranger in the comments had an idea, said, I think now that Nixley has control of the courage totem, she can control if it takes or gives courage. And that's a headcanon I can definitely accept. I can see it. They need to establish that, though.
But wouldn't that make them cowardly? Why would that make them jump to, we're going to fire our nuclear missiles? Yeah. They would like cower in a corner. If you're not courageous, if it depletes your courage, you would be cowardly.
You know what most people don't want is to die in a nuclear blast. That's like,
you would run from it.
Much the scariest thing that can possibly happen. I don't know. It didn't make any sense to me. I had the same question as you, Rebecca. I was like, if she took away their courage, why aren't they both just like, hey, sorry? Or, like, hey, we're going to just retreat. Like, taking away their courage makes them more angry, because giving people courage, like 3 episodes, also made them more angry. What's the logical consistency of this? I listen, I'm willing to go along with anything that this show wants to throw at me. Lena's a witch now. Sure. Why not? Loving that hair journey for her, and I can't wait to subscribe to her YouTube channel. I can bring an iguana to a museum. Why not? He's my emotional support iguana. Okay, that's fine. But like, you need to have logical consistency within whatever wacky thing is happening on your show. The problem with Supergirl is not that they do wacky things in the story. The problem is that it's not consistently, like, the rules aren't set up and then followed. The rules are whatever, not even a whole episode anymore, whatever a specific scene needs them to be. And they can change scene to scene, it seems like now. It used to be that, like, the rules were for one episode. Guns were bad one episode, and then the next episode, Alex is like, pew, pew, my alien gun. And you're like, I don't know, John's okay with that? He's just letting you be the only one who has a gun? That's cool. Not favoritism, but like, now the rules, the internal rules of this show are changing scene by scene, and it's such a puzzling experience to watch it. It makes me feel like, am I too tired? Am I watching this while I'm tired? It's like I could be watching it in the middle of the day. I'm like, am I sleepy? Did I dream that scene?
Yeah, Claudia says that Jean explained that the totem made them paranoid and untrusting, but that's not part of the courage. Like, I can understand that, and I appreciate you mentioning that, Claudia. But
yeah,
but that's not what they established before. They just said the courage totem gave them a lot of courage. That was the rule.
And exactly like Claudia is pointing out, what the show is establishing is like, this is why. But several episodes ago, when they got the courage totem, the excess courage was making people act irrationally, and confrontationally, and causing all these fights. And so you would think that the taking away the courage would do something different, but it's like, no, the end result of all these totems is just that people fight more. And it's like, well, how is that interesting? Like, you've established these different totems that do different things, but then they all do the same thing.
Yeah.
So why are we wasting our time with this?
Yeah, to me, it did not make much sense at all. And also, I guess when we're talking about that whole like missile thing, I just wanted to point out in my second viewing, I didn't catch this the first time around, but Martian Manhunter says that he and Brainy will fly the missiles into the sun.
Oh no.
And I thought,
oh no.
Why is Martian Manhunter doing that?
Yeah,
Isn't
wait,
his weakness fire? His one weakness is that he's scared of fire. The
Not
sun
anymore.
is the biggest fireball that we know of.
Not anymore, Rebecca. He's so brave.
Why would you have Martian Manhunter fly something into the sun?
Because they don't remember that he's afraid of fire is the thing. They don't remember that
His
at all.
whole civilization burned.
No,
That's
they got
why
none of
he's
that.
like the last Martian except for Magan. His
Where's
whole race of
Magan?
people except for the white Martians burned alive. And they were going to send him into the sun. I cannot even deal with that. It is the most bizarre choice. I heard that. I was like, I'm sorry, what? You want to have Martian Manhunter flying into the sun? What?
There's no defending it. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And it's another case of like, this is a show about Supergirl, and she very rarely gets to do any cool things on her own anymore. It's like I was complaining about it like the last episode or the episode before that, but when they made William Day go like, oh no, I can fight these guys, Supergirl,
Yeah.
don't worry about it. You go over and protect Lena or whatever. And I was like, she can do both. She's
Lena wasn't even
Supergirl.
in danger.
Like, since when are you like are you Karate Kid, dude? They're just, I don't understand why they need to make everybody so powerful that they're kind of as powerful as Supergirl. There should be tiers, and Supergirl should be at the top of that tier, and then everybody else should just be kind of cascading below it. And they shouldn't keep having these other characters do things that Supergirl could very well do herself. Like, I understand the challenge of writing like Superman and Supergirl is that they can basically do everything and they're kind of overpowered. But the answer is not to just make her friends do all her work for her. This isn't Catco.
Okay, all right. So since we're talking about Supergirl and the sun,
always
we
always will be.
We should maybe talk about the thing that I think made me madder than the Martian Manhunter fire thing.
Okay, I love it. I can't wait.
What did you think about Supergirl? Just a reminder, I just want to put the emphasis that Supergirl,
yep,
literally and metaphorically threw hope into the sun.
Sure. Why not? I mean, that's how I kind of feel about this season. I gotta be honest. If I only had to pick one to throw into the sun, it would be this one. Yeah, no, that was a tough moment, I think, for me as a Supergirl fan to watch her just overhand throw hope straight into the sun as it burned up. But okay, so here comes my second big question of the episode. And maybe you have the answer for this. I didn't understand it. So when they're looking at the three totems and they're like, what are we going to do with these guys? What do we do with a problem like these totems?
Yeah, they have the courage totem, the humanity totem, and the hope totem.
So they're deciding like somebody's got to die. Who will it be? And so they're like, well, we've seen how bad it is when nobody has courage or people have too much courage. It's kind of a potpourri grab bag kind of situation. And We've seen how bad it is when nobody has humanity. That was pretty bad. Also, I guess kind of bad when they had too much humanity. Again, you're
snow leopards.
You're finding the middle way, kind of like Buddha. But then they're like, yeah, but if we get rid of hope, are we getting rid of everybody's hope in the whole world? And I was like, wait a minute. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We need to rewind and reverse that. And we need to just like really dig into this. Are you saying that the attributes of these totems are associated with the well-being of these attributes in the entire world? Because I don't think that was established, and I could be wrong. But like when they used the courage totem, only people in the museum and for like a block radius got extra courage. And the same, like when they used the humanity totem, it wasn't like a global shutdown and like everybody was going. It wasn't the purge.
Oh, Morgan, are you still there?
Yes.
Morgan May. Oh yeah. You froze up a little bit.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh, you're back. I think you're back. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So it wasn't the purge. Is where
It
we
wasn't
left
the purge.
left off.
It was just some people mad. It was like people mad in National City. So why now is it suddenly like if we destroy the humanity totem, everybody on Earth loses their humanity? Like, was that previously established in any way?
No, the only thing I think Lena says that you're alluding to is if we destroy the totems, that could affect the elements in the real world.
Yes.
So,
like, they don't know. They were acting like, well, this is how we decide, like, what can go, right? It's like, well, we can't have courage go, and we can't have humanity go, because it could go everywhere. It's like, is that what's gonna happen?
So what really? I'm gonna try to see if I can make this understandable for everybody for why this was so irritating to me. Was that so they have these 3 totems. There's 3 out of 7. So there's 4 more totems that we haven't even tracked down.
Oh
as of
God, I
yet.
can't take it anymore.
There are 4 other totems that they could have used as process of elimination here. So they go, okay, humanity, we can't do that one. That's definitely, we can't do that one. We can't do courage. Can't do that one. And then Supergirl gets to hope and she's like, well, this is it. This has to be it. It has to be hope. And I was like, no, it doesn't. You have 4 other totems. Why does this have to be hope?
Can I interrupt you and just point out that one of the totems is dreams? Dreams.
Why can't you eliminate dreams?
You know what? None of us dream at night anymore. Oh well. Our brains just don't process those things during our REM cycle. Well, I think we're all right.
Here's the thing, Morgan. So Nia is in Parthas looking for the dream totem. So we have to have the dream totem because we have to have the dreamer episode.
Of course.
It's not like saving the hope totem for like the lead character on the
main
show.
Character.
That's not important.
That would be madness.
So here's what the show tries to justify it with. Supergirl says, we prove that even when the world has lost all hope, we can be the example to bring it back. Even if there are consequences to destroying the hope totem, we can do it again. So I just have a problem. And I think this is becoming a cumulative effect for me over the course of this season, where at the beginning, we didn't really spend a lot of time with Kara. If we saw Kara in the Phantom Zone, it was for 5 minutes per episode. We didn't really care. Her dad, she thought was dead, was alive.
Bear.
He was keeping it tight.
Tight.
He came back, and then he was on Earth for an episode. Then he went to Argo off screen to reconnect with Kara's mother off screen. And so we don't even get to see her reunite with both of her parents together, which I would like to remind everybody is the most tragic part of Kara and Supergirl's backstory, is that she leaves that planet having lost her parents, or so she thinks, lost her entire civilization. And the show will not deliver a on-screen reunion with her parents that she has now both of them come back to life. We can't deal with that. We can't spend time on that. So last week we had Supergirl make a decision to be like, I'll take everybody's humanity. No big deal. As long as we tell everybody in the light of day in a Catco magazine article that nobody's really reading anyway, because nobody reads magazines anymore. But that's besides the point. Who cares? We put it out in the light of day. Who cares if I made a morally questionable decision as Supergirl? Doesn't matter. Then this week, they literally had Supergirl, the symbol of hope on the show, who has made, I have lost track of how many hope speeches she's given. I do remember that in the season 1 finale, she said the word hope 7 times in that speech. That will always stick in my memory because I counted every single one. They had her be the symbol of hope. That is the thing. That is her brand, as Jean said. And they had her literally and metaphorically throwing hope into the sun. And I just don't know what to do with this show anymore when it comes to Supergirl. Do I think they like the character of Supergirl? I don't know. I can't tell. Have they ever read or opened up a comic book of Supergirl stories? I don't know. I can't tell. But what I have a problem with and what I'm struggling with as a viewer, and I'm so glad to see Bunsen because it's a
I think Bunsen really agrees with you here. I think
it's a calming effect
as well.
It's a calming effect to see a lab cat on the screen. So I appreciate that. But I cannot believe that this show, 5 episodes from the end, is doing this to Supergirl.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's so disrespectful to her. And like, to your point, like, I don't even think that we've really fully processed how insane it is that they brought back her father. It never felt like we really got deep into those emotions of like what it was like to think he was dead forever. And then he comes back, he sees her life for like an episode, and then he was like, sweet, well, it's been real, bye-bye. And he goes to Argo. Like, we don't even deal with the fact that somewhere out there in the universe, her mom and dad are together, and she could just like go up and be there with them as a family now. Like, the fact that she doesn't even seem to consider for a second, like, what would it be to just go to Argo and be with my family and finally have that family back together again that I've always wanted, is crazy. Like, not even for an episode. She's just like, bye, Dad. It's been real.
She didn't even take him to Argo. Brainy did it. This is the most impactful thing that could have happened to Kara Zor-El. Yeah, most impactful thing that could happen. And we never spent time. I'm hoping. I should not hope with this show because hope has been thrown into the sun and destroyed and is gone.
She got
forever.
rid of it. I'm sorry. You can't hope anymore.
So can't hope. Low expectations going into the end of this show. But I'm wishing upon a star. I don't know, Jiminy Cricket or something. I am wishing upon a star that that will be how the show ends, that she reconnects with her parents and that she has a happy family ending. I don't know. If she stays on Argo or not. I just want to see her with both of her parents. But I was baffled by their choice to have Supergirl throw Hope into the sun and destroy it. She literally destroyed Hope.
Yeah, that was a puzzler. I'm gonna be honest. That one was a puzzler to me personally. I was like, I'm sorry, she's deciding to do what with what? Her favorite thing, her main thing? Into the sun? That's what she's doing?
Right into the sun.
Into the sun.
Just destroy. Like, I understand that the process of we can't let Nixley have all these All Stones, so we have to destroy one of them. Because if we destroy one of them, she can't create the All-Stone and she can't take over the world. I get that. But why Hope? Hope should have been the one that we clung to.
And it's like,
with hope, you get everything else.
Yeah. And it's not like it's the defining part of her character or anything that they've established in this show across multiple seasons and multiple Hope speeches given directly to a camera, which she'll probably just do next week. She'll probably be like, I got to help out with the Hope. I've got this speech all written. Don't worry. I usually just recycle them. Honestly, it's not new material. But still, like, her biggest established characteristics, and you're just going to have her throw that into the sun. It's like, thematically, it makes no sense on multiple levels, but thematically it makes no sense. Like, it's not like the writer, like, oh, our hands were tied, the other two ones were too dangerous. you wrote them being the other two ones. Like you didn't. There was nothing that said that you were just backed into a corner and you had to have Supergirl throw Hope in there. You could have had one be like the totem of not liking broccoli, and then that's the one. It's just I don't understand why you would ever have Supergirl as a character throw away Hope. Like, I don't care if it's just symbolically. It's crazy. It's her main thing.
I understand what they were trying to do, just to be like fully transparent. I understand that they were trying to say that, like, oh, we can give each other hope, that I understand. But the act of her throwing the visual of her throwing Hope into the sun and destroying it, that kind of broke me as a fan. And it's
Like,
hard.
wasn't she the paragon of hope?
She was the paragon of hope, and so
Not anymore.
It was hard. It was hard for me to get over that, and I've maybe calmed down a little bit, but it's still that kind of lost me on the show in this final season. And I think Donna had a comment saying, destroying one of the totems, you end the totem storyline. So do you think the totem storyline is finished? I mean, if Dreamer's still looking for the dream totem, I guess it's not finished.
We got to get that dream totem episode for Dreamer, because they queued that up and they set her up that they're not going to Charlie Brown her. They're not just going to pull the football right away from her when she's about to get her dream totem.
She's not going to come back to the tower. She's going to be like, guys, I found the dream totem. And they're like, doesn't matter anymore. We fixed it.
That would have been hilarious. That would be hilarious. If that happens, I almost forgive them for a lot of things. If Dreamer comes back and she's like all cut up and she's like bloody and dirty and she's got the dream totem in her hand,
she's like crawling on the ground.
She crawls.
Guys, I got it.
Guys, I did it. And they're like, oh, did we forget to text you? We don't need that anymore. And she just like starts crying. That would be amazing. Because it's kind of the respect that this show shows a lot of characters. So you're not even surprised when something like that happens.
Oh man. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think the totem thing is done, even though the show told us it was done.
It would be great, but I don't think so.
And I guess the last thing that we need to talk about really quickly is Nixley and her gift that she receives from a secret admirer at the end. So what did you think about that, Morgan?
Can we start with Nixley's diabolical plan to like kidnap William Day? Like,
yes,
like,
let's.
I'm gonna hit them where it hurts, right in their heart, the heart of the team. This guy. And I was like, listen, I don't want to be impolite. Love William, love him. But like, I think I would just be like, I'm sorry, these totems are pretty important, actually. Like, I kind of barely know that dude. So sorry, Will. But it was just, I thought that was ridiculous. Come on, guys. Come on. I understand that for whatever reason, the writers have remembered that William exists. And that he's on the show, and that presumably they're paying the actor, and they just probably should do something with the character. But it does feel too little too late. Like, somehow he's been in 2 seasons of this show, and I still don't. He's basically just a person in the background. He's just kind of there. The time to make us care about William was legit last season, and they didn't care about him then. And so I'm not caring about him now. It's the last season. I only have so much caring left. But I did appreciate that, like, William's baking thing, which is the thing I like best about him. I'm going to be honest. That he comes in, he's like, when the first scene that he was in was him carrying baked goods, I was like, well, now they're just doing it straight for me. Thank you. And he's like, I brought some Jaffa cakes. And I was like, yes, of course you did. Because the Great British Bake Off is my favorite show. So I love it. But like, I thought that they really missed an opportunity when he took Nixley down. He said something like heroic and he trips her. I don't think that was the right track, because I think what he should have done is like a baking pun as he did it.
Oh,
he would have been like a badly baked souffle. I'm taking you down, and like then like kicked her over like like a gingerbread house made of shortbread. Your walls cannot stand. And then he just like
that would have been
over.
awesome. This could have been the origin story for that baker superhero moniker that we talked about last time. I think,
Yes.
where he becomes the baker and he has a costume with the chef's hat and the rolling pin.
I
This could have been
love
his like superhero origin story.
This could have been the beginning of his path to being the baker, and I feel like it was a real missed opportunity.
Yeah, William does come bringing a chocolate roulade, Jaffa cakes, and hobnobs, which I had to look up because I did not know what hobnobs were. But it looked like they were all kind of roulade I've had before. But the other ones were kind of cookies. So Esme probably was hopped up on sugar after that. So,
I'm ready for William's like Great British Bake Off episode where like maybe he gets trapped in his nightmare and it's that he's like making a Swiss roll and it cracks and he's like no, and then his girlfriend who is totally real and lives in Canada, you can't see her, and she comes over and she was like, I thought we had something special, and she like breaks up with him dramatically because he's not a good enough baker. We like really get into like the pathos of William because I think that's what the season needs. Really is more William, but specifically more William baking. I just like that. I like that they've committed to this bit, and I hope that they never stop doing it because it's one of the few things that gives me joy in these episodes.
And it's one of the few things that's pretty consistent.
It's pretty consistent. You know what? When you can only say like the only logical consistency is that like William is going to bring up baking at some point, and like that's the only thing. It feels like the only thing I can rely on in the show anymore. It's not saying much, but the Lexo suit thing was cool. I like Nixley in the Lexo suit thing. My issue with it is unfortunately like a thing I read online, so I don't want to like bring that into the discussion.
Yeah, we maybe shouldn't bring it up until it happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, just in case the blissfully ignorant are still blissfully ignorant.
But it's obviously from Lex, right? Because it's a Lexo suit and because it came with the watch, and watches are kind of Lex's thing, which means that Lex is coming back into the story, and okay. All right. Listen, the problem with Lex, my problem with Lex is that like I'm very split because I think that John Cryer is an excellent Lex Luthor. Like
It's fantastic.
Ducky Lex Luthor, one of the tops, honestly.
Yeah.
He's great. He's fantastic. Unfortunately, when he tends to show up on the show, he kind of sucks the air out of the rest of the episodes that he's in. Like he chomps the scenery in such a delightful way that there's no scenery left for anyone else to chomp in any way. There's not even a bite, not even a morsel, not even a Jaffa cake left for the rest of the cast. And so and that's, it's like a writing problem. They're so obsessed with writing Lex Luthor that they just kind of toss everyone to the sidelines. And so again, I'm conflicted because I love John Cryer's Lex Luthor. I think he's great. I think he's really dynamic on screen. I always want to watch him. At the same time, I really want to watch Supergirl, though. And whenever he shows up, it becomes the Lex Luthor show. And so when she got that watch, I kind of went, oh, okay. All right.
I mean, I was enjoying the Nixley of it all.
Me too.
And the fact that Lex is coming in, it's like, it almost makes me think that the writers think that Nixley's not enough as a villain, which I think she's plenty enough. I've for the most part loved Nixley as a villain, and I think she would be a great way for the show to go out. But I guess they don't think she's enough as a villain, so they bring Lex in.
And like, I have nothing against, it is the final season. It is the last run of episodes. I guess I have nothing in theory against them bringing Lex back for an episode or two, but like, just save it for the finale or something. Save it for like 1 or 2 episodes. I just have a feeling he's going to be in like all the rest of them. Maybe not next week, but definitely going to start driving the plot. And it's just, he's already driven the plot of like 2 other seasons.
Yeah, that's
let
too much.
Nixley have her moment and like alone as a villain.
Yeah, it's, to me, that's very disappointing. I wouldn't have minded like Lex Luthor making an appearance in like the finale episode or something. That would have been fine to bring some of those old characters back. I think that would have been great to have him cameo, but it seems like he'll be, because I think we all kind of assume that the secret admirer is Lex Luthor. There was a transmat portal with a watch that we know Lex has had. and the fact that there's a Lexo suit that gets attached to Nixley. It sort of signals Lex Luthor. So
He's back.
Yeah. So I guess we have that to look forward to after having Hope taken away this week and destroyed. I guess that makes
Lex
sense.
is back.
Destroy all hope and bring Lex Luthor that no one asked for. So I guess that only makes sense. And we did, just to put it out there, Nixley and Supergirl, Kara, are not tethered anymore. So there's that, which was kind of like
she lost her Voldemort.
That was kind of one of the most interesting parts of this part of the season for me. And they zapped that away too.
And they barely explored it, and then they got rid of it immediately. Like what? But I think this is really my problem with the writing this season is like, what was the point of it?
Yeah.
What was the point of that? Why set it up? Why establish it in any way? If it's going to be like a 2-episode thing, and you're not going to do anything with it, and you're not going to explore anything, and you're not going to get into anything interesting, don't even do it.
Why wouldn't they even use it as a way to like trap Nixley? Why wouldn't they have Kara fake an emotion or something to make Nixley think that she was doing something and then she wasn't? Like, you could have trapped Nixley using that connection, and they never even attempted it. I hear Bunsen talking.
I hear him too. He's got a lot to listen.
He has
coming
so many
hot
feelings
about this episode. Bunsen. He's no more to say though. He's done.
No. I kind of waited to see if he would say something else. Just dead air. All right. So I guess we should hit overall thoughts, because I know we've gotten kind of long. The Mr. Bones talk made us go a little long. So because we were so excited about that. So overall thoughts, Morgan. What did you think about this episode?
I didn't like this one, honestly. I didn't like this one. The Kelly, Alex, and Esme stuff I thought was cute. I thought it was really, really good and well done. I was interested in it. I wanted to know more about that. I thought it was like well explored, and I like that they're getting into the storyline that they set up ages ago and then forgot about, and now they're back. Yeah, I thought that stuff was really good. The main stuff, I didn't like it. I had too many questions. I had too many like concerns. It made my head hurt with the logical inconsistencies of it. It made me think too deeply about like these storylines and like whether or not they made sense. It's just always a dangerous place to be on Supergirl, especially. It's like, oh wait, if this does this, then why does that do that? You don't want to be there on this show. Really, you want to just like throw as much like a confident supportive space dad, like ready to talk about his feelings,
and just giant cats
like
more of those
witch Lena sniffing a branch in a bad wig. Listen, I'm not going to question any of those decisions. I'm just going to go along. I'm just along for the ride. I'm buckling my seatbelt and I'm ready to go. But when you give me an episode that's really medium to kind of veering towards bad, and then you like poke holes in like the internal consistencies of your story, and I have to start thinking about them. I have to start being like, I don't know that makes sense. Don't do that to me. I just want to watch Supergirl laser vision with a cat. Like I don't want all this. I don't want all the rest of this. It's not great.
My overall thoughts are all the Esme scenes were great, and that's it. Okay, so let's get to what our listeners had to think about this episode. Hope for tomorrow.
Amazing. Okay, our first tweet comes from Kaya at Kaya_Matsui, who said, I'm in love with Esme. This episode was okay. The most shocking thing, though, was finding out that Alex's apartment has a second bedroom. Nixley should have kept William as her baker. She would be doing us a favor. Is Lena's hair getting bigger and bigger as an effect of her powers? I love that idea. Like the more power she has, like the more her hair like just absorbs them.
We'll have to keep an eye out on that.
What if like by the end of the show, like she's got like teased 80s hair? It's just big. It's like up in the air, like she's got bangs suddenly for no reason, but they're like kind of sticking out and then like folding over.
Yes.
Like I think she could pull it off. I want to see
too.
I want to see totally 80s Lena.
Yeah.
Dr. Is it Osophil Lady Sai?
Yeah, that's Dr. Nicole Green, but it's kind of a hard one for us non-science people to pronounce.
So hard for me to say most things. So she said, I read, write highly technical, convoluted biological storylines every day, and I cannot say with any certitude how the totems work. I propose a day in the life of Esme for the rest of the episodes, where we view small snippets of plot through the cuteness of Esme.
I'd be into that.
I think that would make it go down a little easier. I'll be honest. Be very generous with Esme going forward, I think. At KKyle1 said, pretty good episode. Everything about Esme is adorable. Why has Brainy been green the last few episodes? Did I miss his image inducer being destroyed? The forbidden to interfere thing has never made sense, even going back to the Superman movie. No matter what anyone does, aren't they interfering in history? Yep. Superman destroyed nukes in the 4th movie. That whole thing is silly. I guess it's just a way to not let super folk deneutralize the world or denuclearize. Yeah, I cannot say.
That's a hard one. Denuclearize.
Nuclearize. Oh my God. Oh well, that didn't work. And it looks like Lex is back. At Jen _ McF3 said, I thought nothing would be cuter than Alex as a mom, but then we got Aunt Cara and Grandpa Jean. Alex and John must have learned how to paint from Cara. Cara went to work.
We didn't even talk about that yet, but she was a catco this week.
God, she tried to do something. Apparently, William only gives what he bakes to children. Please, no more Lex. At CM Gutierrez 74 said, loved it. Danvers and Super Friends family scenes, super core scenes, battle for the totems, catco drama. Even William helped save the day, spelled D-E-Y, so clever pun, at the end when he interrupted the battle between the gods. Bravo. And now effing Lex is coming back. Only one question remains. Where is Magan?
We know where she's is.
In that painting.
She's in that painting.
Guys, why won't you see me? Right here. At SL Fricky said, hope. Hearing obviously perturbs Esme. I like that this is still continued. I hope it never dies. Do you think the foster system would have let Kelly and Alex have Esme if they knew about their risky side jobs as superhero crime fighters?
So I want to stop right here and say that I'm trying to get my friend Christy, who is a counselor in the real world. She is in her day job. She does counseling things, has done it for a long time. And she has sent me messages saying that she does not think that it's ethical for Kelly to be adopting little Esme because she works on this case. So I'm trying to get more clarification on those things. So I don't think the superhero thing comes into play. I think it's more of the ethical dilemma with her job would be more so
the social worker on her case, right?
Yes. So continue. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, I want to know more about that. I hope she writes you back. I didn't even think about that. SL Freaky goes on to say, should have been Casnia and Markovia at odds, as they're actually on the same continent at least. At Laura Redenbar says, Esme scenes were adorable. Supering was good. Pep talk scenes were top shelf. I suppose the choice to destroy a totem and for Nixley to have a way to retrieve it means the Super Friends have a false sense of security for a while. Oh, and because I know it will come up, my theory. Jean phased through the rubble of the DEO and removed some items of value, including the Truth Seeker. Whenever you wonder where they got something that Brainy or Lena didn't make, Jean dumpster dived the DEO site is the explanation.
Yeah, where did they get that Truth Seeker?
That's a good question. Honestly, my headcanon is that somebody already took him way before the DEO went down because they were like, who's a cute little boy? Like Jean was like, I don't know where the Truth Seeker came from. And he was like, shh, be quiet. Julius, shh. They're on to us. At Kenny Crowley said, some good, some bad. The Alex, Kelly, and Esme scenes were good and adorable. Supergirl / Kara scenes are always great. Also good to see Brainy get some screen time. The rest of the episode was a mixed bag for me. I give this episode a 2.5 out of 5. A generous score. Uh, At Anthony Nia said, this felt incredibly rushed. The war between Casnia and Corto Maltese came out of nowhere. The I can't interfere in human history line, did I miss an episode where Marlon Brando made a cameo? Did anyone else think we'd finally discovered Magan's whereabouts on Esme's wall? Yes. We've established that's where she's been. At Lollygagging8 said, so, Brainy, a 12th level intellect, can't track Mitch and Nixley's ship. Does that mean Lex is a 13th level intellect and Lena a 14th level since she is better than Lex?
Yeah, how did Lex find the ship?
I mean, good questions. Good questions all. And this is kind of my issue with Lex is that like every time Lex gets on the scene, Brainy just gets stupider by comparison. Like all of last season was really tough, I think, for every time they were like, Brainy is the smartest man alive. I'm like, yeah, but that chucklehead over there is totally like manipulated him. How smart can he be? that guy gets mad at his sister for riding horses. I mean, I don't not trying to be contrary, but sorry, Brainy. So Jose Rios 1994 said, my least favorite of the good episodes, writing all over the place. Everything could have been solved in 5 minutes. For the first time, I really liked the Alex Kelly storyline. Esme really hides their lack of chemistry. Brutal. Got meta at the end with the doing the same every timeline. Yeah, I did think that was funny that they were like, we're just doing the same thing over and over here. I'm like, yeah, it's not great storytelling, is it? Yeah, like I looked straight at the screen. I was like, yeah, no, it's not been too fun for us either. Oh my gosh. At Willie Belcher 6 said, for 7 straight episodes, no Danvers sister scene.
Is that
I don't
true?
know.
I don't. I'd have to go back and look at that. Let us know in the chat if you've seen a Danvers Sisters episode in the last 7 scene in the last 7 episodes.
Yeah, I feel like Donna would know.
Yeah, I know people in the chat know when the last Danvers Sisters scene that we've seen on the show is.
And they go on to say, I don't know about you, but this is the worst season they've put on.
I mean, guys, we'll talk about that after the season and the show wrap up. We'll have that discussion.
At Mark HBPWM says, I'm not sure if Kara's overall demeanor is because of the Hope Totem, leftover feelings from the Phantom Zone, or what, but whoever decided she should be morose for her final episodes was way off the mark.
Yeah, not feeling it.
I agree.
It's bizarre.
This is supposed to be like her, her final victory lap, and she's like very like womp womp.
Yeah, I'm not really feeling it. All right, so we have an email from, I think it's Ucie, UCIE, I hope I pronounced that correctly, who wrote, quote, Esme has been put through so much, and I am so happy she now has a family who is going to give her the love and care she deserves. Seeing her meet her Aunt Cara and Grandpa Jean made me almost cry. Also, did you notice they painted Magan on the wall, but didn't mention that she went missing whilst on patrol all those episodes ago? Is it a memorial painting? What if Magan died off screen and they're just like putting her memory? What if she just off screen, she just died and this is a memorial to her?
Is it a memorial painting? The saddest part is like, would I be that surprised? I'm sorry, Megan.
Yeah, so let's hope she's not dead, but that's an interesting theory. Usi goes on to say, quote, I've also decided that since they made a big thing about Lena losing everything when she left L Corp, she lost her apartment and had to move in with Kara because it's now 3 weeks in a row where she doesn't go home. She hangs out with Kara at the tower or Kara's apartment. And that is why she can put her shoes on the sofa now, because it's her bed. And remember, if in doubt, just throw it into the sun, unquote. That's actually not a bad theory because, I mean, Lena did have that swanky apartment at one time and she probably can't afford that anymore. So it would make sense that she's having to maybe find another place to live.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's been no fallout from whatever's like the fact that a huge Lena Luthor fan, just obsessed with her outfits and her witchy vibes and really all of it. I couldn't tell you whether or not she's poor or not. I think speaks speaks to bad writing. Like, if you're gonna have your character who's like been rich the entire show suddenly lose all of her money, that feels like it should be like a bigger plot point, and should have bigger like repercussions for the character and the character development. And like, she lost her company that was like her main thing when she first started the show, and she doesn't seem to have any feelings whatsoever about it. Honestly, she's really on to the next thing, which is being a witch and that monetized YouTube channel.
Yeah, because wouldn't that make her very humble? Like, it would be very humbling for this very rich person to not have all the riches anymore. Yeah, people in the chat are saying, Nicole says, so when Lena said she would bet all her money on Cara to get the Hope Totem, it was like $10. So Rainbow 3 says something similar. She said she bet her money on Cara, though. So yeah, I mean,
maybe it was a dig. I bet all my money on you, Cara. Petty Lena's still under there somewhere. Oh man. Ermgard sent us an email writing, what a great episode this week. I could have watched a whole episode of just the Super Friends family welcoming Esme into their family. No special effects would have been needed. Aunt Cara, Grandpa Jean, Aunts Mia and Lena, Uncle Brainy and William. The scenes between Kyler, Ozzy, and Mila, I think
it's Mila.
Yeah, Mila. We're golden. Cara telling Esme to listen to Alex's heart was a beautiful moment, showing Esme how much Alex truly means to Cara. I don't think the Hope Totem is truly gone. Otherwise, why would the secret admirer, Lex Luthor, send her the Lexo suit? Loved William getting to do more. Wish they would have written more stuff for him to begin with. Would have loved for Cara to have brought Grandma Eliza too. Can't believe we only have 5 episodes left, and then like a bunch of crying emojis.
we can't call Eliza. That's not something we can do.
No.
She's
at least they remember she exists, though. They talked about her a bunch.
I'd like to think that Eliza's hanging out with Zor-El and Allura on Argo. She's taking a vacation. That's where I would like to think she is.
All of Cara's family is on Argo, and she's visiting none of them.
Well, Emma wrote in with some thoughts saying, quote, what if the reason Cara came up with that weird, morally questionable decision, I think this is referring to last week, to suck the humanity out of people. I have to clarify the morally questionable decision because that's becoming more of a habit these days. And that's me inserting myself into Emma's email here. So Emma says, what if the reason Cara came up with that weird, morally questionable decision to suck the humanity out of people is because of her connection to Nixley? I know Nixley was full of empathy at the time, but that sort of low-key evil plan seems much more in keeping with Nixley's character than Cara's. Granted, this doesn't at all explain why Lena randomly decided to go with it, but I prefer to think that maybe Cara was experiencing a more subtle manifestation of her psychic link with Nixley. Regarding Morgan, did you want to say something about that?
Oh, I was going to say that would have been a truly fascinating storyline where if like suddenly Cara's decisions start veering off a little bit and getting morally questionable, and you realize like that Nixley is starting to seep into Cara, and that like Nixley's decisions are getting like a little bit more like empathetic, not like the crazy humanity crying about the snow leopards. But like just a little bit more, and you realize that they're like kind of like seeping into each other and like affecting each other's decisions. Like, how interesting would that have been?
I would have enjoyed that a lot, actually. That would explain a lot of the things that Cara did, and it would make it so that getting rid of the tethering would have been much more important for Cara to be herself again. I think that would have been really interesting. That is a great thought, Emma. Well, Emma also has some thoughts about hope for tomorrow, saying, quote, I think Esme wins the award for figuring out Cara's identity the fastest. That scene had me laughing out loud, and it made sense given Esme's power set. So I guess this was the annual Cara Remembers She's a Reporter episode. It was nice seeing her at Catco again, but my God, they have ruined Andrea's character. She's been reduced to the stereotypical self-centered bad boss that Cat Grant initially came off as, but with none of the hidden depths or redeeming qualities. Props to the Catco employee. I think she's referring to Don was his name, who tried to defend William, with a stapler. Am I the only one who thinks Lena's spell should be in Old Irish or some other Celtic language rather than Latin? I know Latin adjacent is the stock language of magic on TV and in books, but Lena and her mom are Irish witches. Plus, I still stand by my headcanon that she's descended from Morgana, and her magic language was Old English, actual Old English, not Hollywood ye Old English. Emma goes on to say, quote, watching Alex and Kelly struggle to be moms felt very real to me, as did Esme's fears of abandonment. I'm adopted, and while my parents got me as a baby rather than a young child with a traumatic backstory, I'm also a different race than they are. It's obviously not the same as being a literal alien, but that disconnect between cultures and wanting to retain connections to a heritage that doesn't feel fully your own is still there. And Emma says, I might be treading more into Superman territory with that, but it seems like Esme is just coming into her powers, which indicates to me that this is a part of herself her birth parents never got to teach her about, so she's learning about it the same as Alex and Kelly. Emma also goes on to say, quote, I feel like Kara's decision to just throw stuff into the sun to destroy it isn't the best system. And shouldn't there be repercussions for her basically stealing and destroying two countries' nuclear arsenals? I groaned so loudly when Lex's portal watch / suit appeared. Crier's performance is great, but I'm so exhausted by Lex at this point. Looks like Supergirl is taking over the airwaves next week to deliver a speech. Classic, unquote. And I did want to mention something about Kara. The one line that I thought that was actually really good in this episode, talking about reporter Kara, she says, if we only report on the negative stuff, people will start to see and believe that the world is worse than it actually is. And that was the one line in this episode where I was like, man, that's a good line, because it's so true. If you just constantly report on all the negative things that are happening, it makes it seem like everything is negative, and it's not. The actual world is pretty good, in my opinion, anyway. So I thought that was the most insightful thing Kara said in the whole season of the show. So I thought that was a great line.
I like that as well, because it kind of speaks to, I think that there's, at least during some points, like this idea that like, oh, crime is going up, but if you look at the statistics, crime has actually been on like a downward trajectory for like decades. But because, you turn on your local news and it's like 5 crime stories in a row, you think, oh my God, it's bad out there. But it's taking little bits and pieces. You're not seeing the whole, you're just seeing the parts. And I thought that was a good point that Kara made. It's like, we need to highlight the positive things that are happening. So I did like that line from her as well.
Yeah, and she does mention there, like, yeah, bad things are happening, but there's a whole lot of good stuff happening too. And so I was like, yeah, Kara, yeah, I'm with you on that one. But it was kind of funny to have Kara say that, because I just feel like the last 3 seasons, the show has just been like, isn't America specifically the worst? Isn't everything the worst? Everything is terrible all the time. Even this season is like, everything's the worst. Everyone's racist. Everyone's terrible. And then in this episode, Kara's like, actually, it's not that bad. Like, things are okay. It's like, that doesn't feel like what the show has been telling me for the last 3 seasons. I feel like everything is terrible according to the show. But I actually agree with you this time, Kara. So I was glad that somebody pointed that out. I really appreciated that.
So Daryl sent us an email writing, I can understand Alex freaking out. She's been wanting a child for the past 4 years after breaking up with Maggie, and she finally has it after alternating between barely mentioning it and making it the point of her character for so long. If Esme hadn't figured out Kara was Supergirl, would they have ever told her? Probably not, if we're being honest. I couldn't believe it when they said this episode took place 3 days after the last one. Adoption in National City goes fast. Even if it's not official yet, it might as well be, since they will probably treat it like other stories we would like to see on the show and just jump right over it happening. Like when Alex told Kelly the truth about Kara. When I was listening to Alex telling Kelly about Eliza, it made me think of something. Has Eliza met Kelly?
That's a good question. I don't think.
Oh no, I don't think so either. I don't think so either. That seems like, that's rough.
She's Kelly is now potentially becoming the mother to Eliza's grandchild, and Eliza hasn't never made it.
Not on screen. Not on screen.
She met Maggie, so it's not like the show hasn't had a precedent for that. I don't think that's happened.
It's Alex is going through all these major changes, and when was the last time she even called her mother? Esme called Lena pretty, and that right there makes Esme the MVP of the episode. I love when Lena.
That was cute.
I love what Lena brings to the team. Always inspiring Kara to be Kara and not just Supergirl. Just another reason that Lena should have been told the truth sooner. Nixley trapping Jean and Kara at the Hague in the beginning definitely gave me Psy vibes from season 3. I didn't pay enough attention to the name of the place that Supergirl saved from the missile, but if that was Casnia, how great would it have been to have Mikhail be the one who said thank you to Supergirl?
Do you remember him?
They don't remember that. Don't worry about that. That would have been great, and it would have wrapped up a little story thread, but we can't have that. So
that was pre-crisis. Can't do that.
That's pre-crisis. Who knows if he even exists anymore? He doesn't to the writers. Does that line that about Kara having a soft spot for Casnia indicate that Kara has Red Daughter's memories, since Red Daughter spent far more time in Casnia than Kara did? We have received no indication that Kara has any new memories from her time when she was split in two.
I think that was definitely a reference to the Red Daughter storyline, but I don't know if it has anything to do about Kara having her memories.
No idea either.
I think that would be cool. I don't think we can technically come away with that.
No, I don't know either. When William was talking to Nixley about how important reporting was, it made me think they got a reporter on the writing staff who finally told them just how important it should have been all along. With one of the totems being destroyed, it makes the entire plot useless and feels like they were just killing time until Lex showed back up.
Yeah.
They
could have just gotten rid of one of the totems right off the bat. They could also have Nixley say her name backwards the very first thing, and they haven't done that either. So there is that. Okay, so
they haven't even tried.
They haven't even tried it. I'm gonna be so ticked if in the last episode they do that and that's how they get rid of her. I'm gonna be so mad.
That'd be hilarious.
I will be so upset. I might laugh about it. Courtney writes in to say, quote, I'll make this quick. Destroying the Hope totem seems to be the worst decision ever. I mean, Hope was what was left in Pandora's box that kept Earth from being totally horrible in the myth. One thing to be grateful for, Lex still being around, is him saving it from the sun. I don't totally know what that means. Morgan, do you understand what that means?
Sorry, where were we?
Courtney's email, Hope was what was left in Pandora's box, kept Earth from being totally horrible in the myth. Courtney, you might have to write in and clarify what you mean about Lex still being around and him saving it from the sun.
Do we think that the Lexo suit has somehow saved the Hope totem from the sun? I think that thing is in the sun. I think it's crispy now.
I mean, I think it's gone though. How do you get the Hope totem out of, even with the Lexo suit, how do you get that out of the sun?
I don't think that the Lexo suit can take you like directly into the sun. I could be wrong.
But didn't Supergirl wear the Lexo suit near the sun when she was like, when she had the baby Sun Eater?
Yeah, I think so.
Was that? I don't remember. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that. But I think once she threw the Hope totem into this, I think that's it. I think
it's lights out for that Hope totem.
I don't think you can come back from the Hope totem. Courtney also says, quote, I was hoping the Hope Gauntlet would have had more to do with Kara helping Esme. Yes, thank you, Courtney.
Yes.
But I guess they had to have Kelly and Alex solve that problem on their own and to give them something to do. However, you'd think Kara or Alex would have been able to draw more on their past, where Kara probably had the same issue of being young and totally unaccustomed to her powers. C'est la vie, I guess, unquote. Yeah.
So Courtney's actually left a comment in the chat, and she says, that was a mistake. I totally thought that was what he sent Nixley, but it turned into the suit.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you for clarifying for us, and I'm glad to see you in the chat, Courtney. Thank you for joining us. I guess maybe this is maybe the time where we need to make some snap judgments. In the game of snap judgments, each person is presented with 2 options, but must only choose one. First instincts are recommended and explanations are unnecessary.
Okay. I just scrolled down, just did a casual scroll of the snap judgments, and I have to say, people are getting wordy with these snap judgments. It's not just Anna anymore. I think we have the great American novel in these snap judgments. So, strap in.
Anna set the standard for what a snap judgment could be.
Anna has really evolved the art form, is I think what's happening. Anna is the Banksy of our snap judgments. So we have a snap judgment from Donna. Apologies, we missed this during last week's live stream.
We did.
Which do you prefer? Punching Esme's foster parents lights out or helping William give Lena a baking lesson?
I think I would rather I think I would rather see William give Lena a baking lesson. I would probably learn from it as well. And I think William could really, share his expertise with her. She would love it because it would be all about pouring things into measuring cups, and she'd have to it kind of has maybe a little science and math in there.
It's very scientific. It's stuff interacts with other things, and we could hear William tell her about maybe it's bread week and they're deciding how much gluten should be in the bread, and I've been watching a lot of Bake Off. It's really been getting me through, and so I really need the Supergirl Great British Bake Off, and they're all contestants, and I think William's gonna win because I think he's got the most experience, but maybe a dark horse, his Canadian girlfriend shows up. She's really great.
Maybe she's the judge. Maybe William and Lena have a Bake Off to see who's is better, and Mary, the off-screen girlfriend, shows up for one episode to be the judge of the Bake Off.
I love it. From @CM Gutierrez 74, castle, theme park, or train?
Castle. I don't even have to think about it. I've always wanted to live in a castle, so that's what I would pick.
I'm gonna go theme park because, I think the secret wish in my heart is just to live in Disney World, in Disney World, and you get the castle that way. So it's
that's true. Yeah,
but I'm going with theme park.
Yeah, smart choice.
Sorry, Cara and Lena. Train is completely the incorrect answer there. They were very confident about it, but it's not right. We have a couple snap judgments from @Kaya_Matsui. So if it was up to you, what totem would you destroy? Hope, humanity, or courage?
Well, this is tough because of the rules change for all of them. I guess I would want to get rid of hope. And I think it's really important that we have humanity. So if I had to pick from the three of those, I'd probably get rid of courage.
I think we've got too much courage is the thing. Who needs all that courage? Calm down, you Gryffindors. Yeah. Hang out here with us Hufflepuffs. We're hopeful. We've got a lot of humanity. We want to be your friends. Just chill out. You don't have to investigate every little bump in the night. Calm down. So yeah, I'm getting rid of courage. What is your favorite Lena style? CEO Lena or witch Lena?
I really like CEO Lena.
I feel like I'm betraying the sort of gypsies, tramps, and thieves evolution of Lena. But I'm also gonna say CEO Lena. I think that she had some great outfits. She had the little vests and the blazers and the power suits. She was very powerful, and she also wore a lot of ball gowns into her her shareholder meetings, which I felt was also a power move. So I have to go CEO Lena. That's where my heart lies.
Just as a side note, since you mentioned gypsies, tramps, and thieves, did I ever tell you that not only did I go see Cher in concert one time, but my friends and I in college, we dressed up as different versions of Cher for Halloween, and it was one of my favorite things.
What version of Cher were you?
I was the Sonny and Cher. So I had the long
that's the best
hair with the 70s stuff, and I would flip my hair all the time. It was a big wig, and I had a hard time managing the wig. It was very wiggy. But Cher is the best. So just thought I would share that.
We all love Cher here.
Who doesn't love Cher? Cher's the best.
Okay, what was the most shocking moment of the episode? Finding out that Alex has a second bedroom in her apartment, or Kara going to work?
I mean, I kind of figured that Kara would have to go back to work at some point. The apartment getting bigger, that was kind of surprising. I don't know where I thought they would put Esme, but the new expansion to the apartment set was pretty surprising.
Yeah, I mean, Kara does dip in and out of the office, sort of as the mood strikes her. But Alex's apartment going like full TARDIS, where it's like suddenly bigger on the inside, that I did not see coming. I was like, oh, wait, what? I thought it was a 1-bedroom.
Oh, Electra WWF in the chat is saying it wasn't Alex's apartment. She and Kelly bought a new one.
They did?
When?
Did this happen in an episode, you guys?
Is this an off-screen development that we don't know about? But I guess it would make sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, they had to
Good for
upgrade because
them.
they were starting a
for them.
family, so they need to get a bigger apartment. That makes
Yes, they wanted a little bit more room. They got that apartment in 3 days.
sense.
Yeah, who knows what the deal is with this new place. Now I need more details. Obviously, National City real estate, always a relevant topic. Okay, from Emma. The first snap judgment is, who is the superior Lillian Luthor? Pre-crisis Lillian, who tried to murder and deport all the aliens in National City and showed her love for her children through murder, or post-crisis Pastel Lillian, who was
I forgot about Pastel Lillian.
Everything is millennial pink. Who was super chill about becoming evil after one chat with her megalomaniac son about how she was evil in another universe. Favorite Lillian.
I do like Pastel Pink Lillian, but I think pre-crisis Lillian was my favorite.
As great as it was that she like light switched to evil that fast, and she was like, "Oh, cool, I'm evil somewhere else." Been thinking about doing that here too. Cool. You got to go pre-crisis Lillian. She was the best. She was terrible. Not a great mom, but always entertaining to watch. Okay, so the next snap judgment. Okay, is not the long one. The next snap judgment is, which episode would you rather see? An episode centered around Lillian Luthor, Cat Grant, and Queen Rhea, filled with melodrama, quips, snark, and gal pal frenemy energy.
That sounds great.
That sounds, I mean, it's going to have to be pretty good. Or a 2-parter day in the lifestyle episode about Brian the alien and Pam from HR.
Oh, I was wondering how you would top that first option. But Brian the alien and Pam from HR, that gives a new direction.
It's pretty good.
It's a new formula that they could go with.
You could go anywhere with that.
As much as I think the show deserves the Brian the alien and Pam from HR episode, I would really love Lillian Luthor, Cat Grant, and Queen Rhea. Melodrama, quip, snark, gal pal, frenemy energy. I'm into that. I think we could do more with that.
Yeah, no, I think we got to go with the evil villainesses. They're all hanging out. They're all drinking wine. They're all complaining about their kids. Oh, my kid's the worst. He's always trying to take over the world. Well, my kid's Mon-El. Beat that. Yeah, I think poor Mon-El. No, I think that would be really fun. I think that would be a great episode.
Yeah, Cat I think would just criticize the rest of them just all the time about all of their terrible choices.
That would be great. Cat would be like, really? Pastel again? Lillian, we've talked about this. It would be amazing. Okay, so this next one, and I'm not exaggerating, takes up like 2 Google document pages. So let's really strap in. Let's try to remember.
We're gonna have to really break this one down.
Let's try to remember the details of it, because it's going to be hard because it's real long. Okay, Emma, what are you doing? All right. Which spinoff show would you rather watch and podcast about?
That's very important, I think.
Okay, watch and podcast about. A spinoff starring Alex and Kelly that runs for only 1 extra long season and follows their adventures as Sentinel and Guardian and the mothers of Esme. Over the course of the season, you watch Esme grow as a character and come to love her with all your heart. And she eventually founds the News Gal Legion so she can fight crime with her mom.
I like where this is going.
All right, I'm liking this. Meanwhile, James gets bitten by a radioactive turtle. and becomes Turtle Boy. But you never actually see him on screen, only ever
no.
getting hints of his adventures through phone calls and scrolling news headlines. The series ends with Esme being brutally slain
Oh
by one
no.
of the villains she helped bring down earlier in the season, with Alex and Kelly arriving too late to save her. The final scene is of Alex and Kelly in their living room. Kelly is sobbing and clutching a picture of Esme to her chest, while Alex mumbles over and over again how this is her fault. The final shot is of Alex's red-rimmed eyes staring vacantly into space, her expression utterly broken.
I'm definitely
Or-
not picking the first one.
Or a spin-off starring Kara and Lena that runs for 12 seasons.
Oh my gosh.
Here we go. And follows their adventures as Supergirl and Witch Lena. Over
Okay.
the course of the series, Lena's witchy outfits become more and more intense, and she eventually starts riding a broomstick everywhere and cackling when amused. She and Kara are often seen flying together.
Is
when
Kara
not-
on the broomstick?
I guess so.
Why?
I don't know. She can fly herself. When not in her witch robes and pointy hat, she only ever wears off-the-shoulder ball gowns that show off her clavicles because she has fully come into her power.
I like this. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Kara, meanwhile, finally starts showing up to work and doing her job,
Okay.
reuniting with Cat Grant, who repurchases Catgo, and Snapper Carr, who snaps at least twice an episode.
Ooh,
Snap, snap,
I'm
like
really
that.
liking this option.
All right, this one's good. This is good. All right, Lillian also appears several times a season to cause some mischief, verbally spar with Lena, and commit a few murders for funsies.
Love it.
As the series goes on, Kara and Lena realize their feelings for each other, fall in love, and get married. But during the final extra long season, it's always extra long.
That's why the podcasting part of it is really important.
It's also always extra long. Oh God, that's so many podcasts. Jean is.
Are we
hunting-
talking like 24 long? Because 24, I think, had like 24 episodes per season. That would, to
Yeah,
me,
it's-
that would be extra.
Yeah, probably like a full. I would. Like a full season, like at least 24.
Yeah. Okay.
Chung chung. Timers in the corner too. All right. In the final extra long season, Jean is hunted down and killed by a cabal of white Martians, leading Alex to go on a quest for revenge that ultimately results in losing Kelly and Esme and Eliza dying.
Ah.
So wow. Okay, so everyone dies. Overwhelmed by guilt, she disappears from the world, never contacting anyone ever again. Nia tries to find her and becomes trapped in the dream realm, causing Brainy to return to the future to search for a solution. Catco is destroyed by an explosion orchestrated by Director Bones, killing both Snapper and Cat Grant.
Ooh, that's vicious.
Oh no. The series ends with Kara and Lena married and content with each other, but weighed down by grief over their losses. The final scene is them visiting Jean, Kat, and Eliza's graves. Kara lays a bouquet of flowers beside Eliza's headstone, reciting a prayer in Kryptonese as silent tears fall down her cheeks. Lena holds her and promises that they'll find Alex and hunt down Director Bones as the screen slowly fades to black. And those are the snap judgments.
Those are the two options. Just one snap
Those are
judgment.
the two options. Emma, wild. You took us on a ride.
Those definitely have good parts and bad parts to them.
Mhm. Yeah. There's
Um,
certainly some stuff happening. I like the beginning parts of each of these.
Yeah, they all
and-
start great.
And then the end kind of goes awry. I don't love the ends of what's happening.
The second one does have Director Bones in it, though,
It does.
and
it does.
Snapper Carr and Cat
and
Grant
Snapper Carr. Yeah.
and Eliza. A
Mhm.
lot of them die.
Yeah,
But
they don't all make
in
it, but they're there. And they're there for like 11, 12 seasons. So we get a lot of them, actually.
That actually doesn't. I mean, this I guess would be the ultimate ending
Yeah.
of the season.
It's kind of rocks fall, everyone dies, which I respect.
But we get Alex hunting down Director Bones.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think I'm going to go with the second option.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the second option too. I like Witchy Lena. I like we get Canon Supercore. I like that that we got Snapper Carr snapping. We got Cat Grant, Director Bone. It's tragic that we lose so many characters. It's tragic that they die. I'm sad about it. But Director Bones does show up. And so
And he does not die. So we
he
might get him for
doesn't
the second
die.
season.
I mean, maybe the spinoff is like Director Bones, supervillain. And I mean, I'm not hating that either. I think I gotta, I mean, R.I.P. Cat Grant. I think I'm going option number 2 as well. Also, we get 12 seasons of just ridiculousness as Lena slowly devolves into like one of the witches from Hocus Pocus riding a vacuum.
This is just in time for Halloween. I really appreciate that
Perfect.
Lena's turning into a witch right in spooky season.
Such good timing.
Such good timing.
Okay, so our last set of snap judgments are from Anna. So, as always, strap in. We know what's happening. We know what's coming. I didn't expect it from Emma, but I do always expect it from Anna. All right, our first snap judgment. What would be a better scene to witness? Kara being held captive by Nixley and Lena setting out to save her. But as she arrives, Nixley stabs Kara with a kryptonite dagger, and Kara makes eye contact with Lena as she screams her name and immediately dies from a stab wound. Or a montage scene of Lena being kidnapped for the totems, tortured, and fighting back against Nixley in the South Pole next to icy waters. I don't know why it's the South Pole. The montage ends with Lena summoning penguins to aid her in the fight, and they almost defeat Nixley before Nixley cracks open the ice beneath Lena's feet, and she falls into the icy depths below and drowns right as Kara shows up to save her. So I do have one question. It's an important question about my decision. What happens to the penguins? Anna, do the penguins make it?
I think the penguins, they just, they're used to icy waters. They're just taking a swim. Yeah, I think they're fine.
Okay. So then it's number 2, I think.
Yeah, I think it's definitely number 2. Lena and penguins. I'm already there.
I'm loving the March of the Penguins vibe there. Didn't see that coming. Loving that journey for everyone. Okay. Snap judgment number 2. You awaken one morning in medieval England as a peasant with all your memories suddenly returning. You remember you were banished years ago with your co-host by Nixley, and the only way to return home is to say Supergirl Radio within 5 feet of your co-host. So you immediately set out to find them, only to discover they are a rich noble who lives in a castle and who does not yet remember who they used to be. What do? Sneak into the castle and return the two of you back home and forever separate your co-host from her historical riches. Or spend the rest of your days as a peasant enjoying history in real time and watch your friend co-host live her rich castle life.
Now, Morgan, I know that you have an interest in like monarchies and some of that history. So I would not deprive you of you leading your rich noble castle life.
Rebecca, I think you want to reconsider. Do you know what it was like for peasants back then? It was not great.
You know what? I'm just gonna let you have that. I'm gonna let
both of us are already 1,000 years old in peasant years. They'd be like, my God, this poor elderly woman, is she okay?
I'm going to let you have that. I'm not going to take that from you.
Well, now I feel bad for saying that I'm taking us back. But I don't think I could be a good peasant. I don't think I have it in me. As soon as I realize there's no indoor plumbing, I'm getting out of there. I'm getting gone.
Well, that's a fair choice, though. I appreciate that.
You are a very good friend, Rebecca. Okay, last snap judgment. During a live Supergirl Radio live stream, you suddenly remember that your real name
we're having a lot of realizations in these
we are. I like it. Oh, we're back in medieval times. Okay. You remember somebody just like watched a Knight's Tale or something. You remember that your real name is Madeleine de la Rue, and you are actually from medieval France with a spouse and children who love you. And then a temporary portal opens behind you, and you have 5 minutes to decide whether to return home. What do? Tearfully say goodbye to your co-host, possibly Mike. I'm just gonna get out of there without even saying bye to Mike.
Am I also saying goodbye to Mike?
You might want to. It's up to you. You probably have friends and family members you might want to say bye to first. And the listeners of Supergirl Radio, and walk into the portal and immediately into the arms of your French-speaking family who have been missing you and begging for your return. Or decide to stay in the present time and live the rest of your days missing your children, Isabella, Cataline, Fleur de Lis, Vincent, and your spouse, Pierre, who you had been married to for years and loved your whole life.
Okay, I'm a little confused by this one. So
Vincent.
Vincent. Okay, so your real story is that you're Madeline De La Rue. And so is the spouse Pierre?
The spouse is Pierre.
So basically the premise is the two choices are you're in Supergirl Radio live stream present day.
Yes.
But then you also have this other life.
It turns out that your real life, you're a French noblewoman with many children and a husband named Pierre. Do you stay in the present day, or do you get out of there and you go like, cool, I'm gonna go live in my castle with Pierre? Pierre's keeping it tight.
I think I would need a little confirmation that this was a thing. I wouldn't just be like, oh, I guess my memories are telling me this stuff. Like, I would need a little proof.
I would immediately go to therapy, I think.
I mean, I do feel like there's an obligation there. If you have children, like you should, I would probably feel an obligation to be there for the children. And who knows what Pierre is like? He might be a good-looking, good-looking nobleman, but he also might be like an abusive father and husband.
Jerk?
What if he's terrible? So we don't have that information.
We don't know.
So he could be a terrible person. I don't know. I think I would probably stay in the Supergirl Radio present day just because I don't have enough information to go back to France. Even though I love France, it would give me a chance to practice my francophone, my French speaking life, because I'm terrible. All I remember in French is je vais à la plage, which means I'm going to the beach. That's
nice. That's an important one.
That's all I can say en français. But so it would give me a lot of time to practice.
It would.
French.
You would get really good.
I would be fluent, I think. But
you're abandoning your child Fleur de Lis.
But here's the thing: I don't know that that's really my child. I need DNA samples first. Somebody could be playing a trick on me.
Let's get you on the Maury show and find out. Sir, the DNA says
I would need convincing, I think.
Interesting. So I'm gonna stay here because I have a whole life here. Yeah. Just spent kind of a lot of money on a wedding. I don't know this Pierre guy. Does Pierre like all the same shows I like?
What if there are no shows?
What if Pierre wants to watch The Bachelor instead of Top Chef? Like, what am I going to do? I don't want to watch that. Well, what if Pierre is really into hiking? What if Pierre is like really outdoorsy and like, he's like, come on, get on our horses and let's go into the countryside. And I'm like, but I don't want to.
I don't know. That sounds actually kind of nice.
It's probably great. I don't want to do it all the time.
Pierre is being characterized.
And also, we have 5 children. That's too many children. Like, I love kids are great, right? Kids are great. I don't want 5 of them. That's too many. I'm sorry, Fleur de Lis, but I've got cats here. I've got to take care of the cats here.
Yeah, you can't abandon
responsibilities. What am I going to do about the lab cats? What am I going to do about Bunsen? No, I gotta stay. I'm sorry, little Fleur de Lis.
Well, I guess neither of us are going.
That was a real twist. I didn't see that snap judgment coming at all. I'm honest. Somebody's been doing like a paper on the Tudors or something, and
I love it. More medieval historical snap judgments, please. All right. I think we'll wrap snap judgments up. No judgments on your snap judgments. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio, discussing the Supergirl Season 6 episode titled Hope for Tomorrow. And I think we need to get to some Supergirl Radio and DC TV plugs. If you would like to contact Supergirl Radio, you can post a comment on our website at supergirlradio.com. You can email us at supergirlradio@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call us at 678-718-7252. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, all at Supergirl Radio. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Podchaser, and Spotify, where we also also have a Spotify playlist that includes music featured on and inspired by the CW's Supergirl TV series. We are listed on DC's fan page, which you can find at dccomics.com/DC-fans. If you like what we do, we encourage you to give us a rating and write us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy our Supergirl Radio live streams, make sure to subscribe to the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to get notified when we go live and wired. DC TV Podcast also has a TeePublic store, so if you're in need of new DC TV related t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, onesies, mugs, notebooks, pillows, or stickers, go to supergirlradio.com and click on the TeePublic store link at the top of the page.
Supergirl Radio, Superman and Lois Radio, The Flash Podcast, and Legends of Tomorrow Podcast, Black Lightning Podcast, Batwoman Podcast 2, and Titans and Doom Patrol Podcast just for you, Justice League Dark Podcast, Green Lantern Podcast, Stargirl Podcast, Strange Adventures Podcast, and finally my favorite of the bunch, DC TV After Dark, where you're allowed to say fuck.
All right. So, Morgan, should we talk about the DC TV podcast TeePublic store?
Oh, I would love to. Speaking of the DC TV podcast TeePublic store and Hope, we have some Hope-related designs in the store.
Yeah, so we've got one that has Hope in Kryptonian, the word Hope in Kryptonian. That's one of my favorite t-shirts, and they have a sweatshirt and a hoodie for, sweater weather time, if you're interested in that. And we also have a Cara Danvers mug, I think designed after the Obama Hope poster.
But it says super at the bottom.
But it has super there. So definitely a lot of Hope things in the store if you're looking for a little hope this week after watching Supergirl throw it in
into the sun, directly into the sun.
Directly into the sun. And we'd like to thank our legion of super sponsors for supporting the Supergirl Radio Patreon. These people are Michael, Sam, Anne-Marie, Yvonne, Quinn, Jessica, Nicola, Leslie, Susan, Abby, Irmgard, Miriam, Cherie, Donna, Nicole, Lizeth, and Anna. And if you would like to become a Supergirl Radio Patreon supporter, you can go to patreon.com/Supergirl Radio. We have 4 monthly options there to choose from. And we are actually going to be doing a review of the Green Lantern movie starring Ryan Reynolds. So look forward to that. I'm hoping to win Morgan over to the Green Lantern side of things because I happen to like Green Lantern. So I'm hoping to convince Morgan that he's worthy of her time.
We'll see. We will see. You'll have to subscribe to the Patreon to see if I've turned the corner on Green Lantern. And as a reminder, we're still running our Flat Supergirl photography contest. So we are running it until the finale of Supergirl. So you've got a couple of weeks left to enter. So if you want to, you can download and print the Flat Supergirl image, which you can find in the video description of this live stream, in the show notes of the audio podcast, or at the right-hand side of supergirlradio.com. Then you're just going to want to cut out Flat Supergirl and then slap her on to with some tape or glue to a popsicle stick, a pen, or a pencil. And then your only job is to take a creative picture with Flat Supergirl. So she could really be doing anything. She could be, I don't know, helping you out at home. She could be throwing some hope into the sun. Do you want to recreate some of Supergirl's greatest moments?
Don't do that one.
Have Flat Supergirl chucking the hope into the sun. That would be very creative, and nobody would see it coming. Or perhaps you want maybe a picture of Flat Supergirl speaking directly to the camera, giving a hope speech to all of us.
Yeah,
she can do that as well. She's really versatile. She can do anything. But make sure that while she's chucking that hope into the sun or giving that speech, that you take a picture, and as many as you like in any kind of situation. And then you want to post those pictures to Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook and tag at Supergirl Radio. And don't forget to use the hashtag Supergirl Adventures.
Yeah, we actually have some new submissions, so I just wanted to share those at Rogue Artist Jen on Instagram. Shared Supergirl with It looks like a bison saying today we find Flat Supergirl hanging out on the plains with a couple of bison.
How'd she get there?
So that's pretty exciting. And then we have some from Mark and Claudia. Mark flew a Flat Supergirl up to Horseshoe Bay, Maine to help Nancy Drew with a
Whoa.
case. Then she went whale watching and finished off the day in Portland with lobster, pot stickers, a healthy green salad, and donuts. Man,
Whoa.
Flat Supergirl had a day.
What a day, Flat Supergirl. I hope she cracked that case.
Yeah, I hope so after all of that. And she had a questionable meal, though. I mean, she went healthy with a green salad, but then she also did donuts. That seems like a contradiction there. But Claudia, it looks like, took Flat Supergirl to the State Fair of Texas, and she had a conversation with Big Tex about where to shop for his clothes. So she's out there having a good time.
She's getting out there. She's doing stuff. She's living life to the fullest. I love it.
I'm glad to see Flat Supergirl really thriving.
Me
and really
too.
Enjoying the fall weather and her adventures that she can have towards the end of the year here. Well, you can find me on Instagram at the Derby Kid. I take the occasional picture over there. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/duckmilkprod. I'm still doing my Batman v Superman top critics of Rotten Tomatoes reviews every Sunday. Well, I say every Sunday. Check the YouTube channel and make sure I have a live stream scheduled because it's been in the fall. It's been kind of off and on. But usually on Sundays at 4 p.m. Eastern. So you can join me over there and check that out.
Cool. So you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Mojotastic. You can find me as a co-host on DC TV After Dark, where presumably we're going to do another one of these this year. But the fun is in the mystery of when will it be? Why are there so many shows on at the same time? So that I'm podcasting all the time. But it's going to happen. And I think that if I believe in my heart enough, we're going to pull one out.
I sure hope so.
But you can also find me as a co-host on the Legends of Tomorrow podcast. Fun day today is actually the season premiere of season 7 of Legends of Tomorrow. But Morgan, you ask, wasn't it just season 6? Yes. Yes, it was. It's been very hard for us. We don't want to talk about it. But the show is back, and that's exciting. We actually just dropped a pretty fun episode. One of our really smart listeners did a whole fantasy football bracket for us, basically, like a draft. And so we drafted characters to be on our teams for the season, all 3 of us. And the drafts were based on our MVP polls that we've done.
Oh,
she actually went back and looked at all the MVP polls for seasons, back to season 3 or 4. And then she weighted them. She weighted all of and she gave us the odds on how much percentage of the season each character was going to take.
Oh, wow. That's involved.
It was very we got to do prop bets too, things when's a producer going to slip mention of themselves into the season. And it was really fun. So I don't feel confident about my team, if I'm being honest. I don't think they're going to take it really, but I have to root for them now. My zombie witch team, which is Sarah Lance and Astra. Anybody who got Sarah Lance because of how she dominates the polls got handicapped by only getting one additional team member.
Oh,
it was that
fair.
involved. So if you want to know more about our fantasy draft, it's a good time to subscribe to the podcast and see who we all picked and then check in on the season and see how we're all doing. We're gonna have the leaderboard up as we go along.
That's fun. I like that. That's such a good idea. For a possible game night in the future, I want to do something similar to that, Morgan.
Ooh.
But not really a draft, but more like a Sweet 16 tournament with characters from Supergirl or characters from the Arrowverse. So
Ooh, interesting.
we might do something like that for a game night in the future. So that's a really good idea, though, of the draft. Very cool. Well, you'll have to let us know how your team's doing.
I will. I'll update you guys. Don't worry.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio. But until next time, I'm still Rebecca Johnson.
And I'm still Morgan Glennon. And we wish someone would surprise us with chocolate roulade, Jaffa cakes, and hobnobs.
CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom, because
She looks like a boss in this coat.
Is Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Yeah!